All right, welcome everybody to another Monday. We are live, we are ready, but are we ready for GameStop? $93. I have to start by just mentioning GameStop today. This is almost hilarious if it wasn't real. Hey guys, welcome for everyone around the world. Welcome to obviously all the Australians out there, from everyone around Asia, Europe, and the US. Welcome in for, of course, our US pre-market session for Monday morning. There are some pretty interesting things going on, things that we have almost never seen in the markets. Well, we have seen them once before, but not for some time. And it's all happening here on Monday with GameStop, as I mentioned. Today, we'll be talking about earnings week. If you don't already have your earnings calendar, you obviously want to have one from Earnings Whispers. I am not affiliated with these guys, but they're certainly worthwhile grabbing one of these. I'll post it in our public Discord as well. If one of the admins could post it in there, post a link to the public Discord at some point, or you can sign up for our free cheat sheet, and I'll chuck this in there for the members as well. But this particular one, look at all these big names coming in this week. We have Tesla. We have Apple. We have Facebook, just to name a few. And of course, McDonald's as well. Everything is coming in. There's a lot on Wednesday, lots on Thursday, heaps and heaps of companies. $77 coming in with $4. Thanks for the coffee there, Sandollar. You are one of the best supporters of this channel, so thank you very much. Well, we'll just say a quick hello to all the people coming in here. Siddharth, Takula, Johnny, good to see you here. We've also got Valdo, Dave, $77, of course. Borain, Sang, Matthew, great to have you all here. So thank you very much for coming out and joining us on this Monday morning. That is a lot to talk about. But let's just start by quickly taking a look at this. So we're up to $95 pre-market. Now, someone said before, someone messaged me and it was at over 100. I'm not sure. I haven't confirmed it was over 100. Let's have a look at the day range here. Not sure if it's over 100, but this is becoming basically, if you haven't heard of it, Wall Street Bets, which is like a Reddit area, versus, I guess, short sellers of Wall Street themselves. And they're pushing it towards, their aim is $1,000. Now, I'm not sure if they'll get there, but obviously this is not fundamental driven. This just shows you the insanity of the market right now. Now, can anyone in the community tell me when the last time we saw something like this occur was? Because this is actually a unique phenomenon. And basically this is, we buy it, we don't care what it's worth, we trade it, and then we hope we're not the ones holding it at the end. When was the last time this really was prevalent throughout the stock markets in the US? There was a time, and we'll see whether the community knows. But definitely it is an interesting one. Siddharth says GME double squeeze. Oh, there's the quad squeeze possibly here, Siddharth. 50% obviously on Friday into another, 45% today. $94 range opening up. This is very wild. Johnny says, wild. I mentioned to a friend months back who trades and games, asked why he didn't have GME. He told me they're dead. Well, yeah, I mean, it's physical media. It's retail stores. They had to close many of them. So this is just purely nuts. Sandola says GME went from 56 to 138 pre-market today. Wow. Kyla says Volkswagen was the last time this happened. Well, certainly it was interesting, and a lot of people coming in with the big 1999. Yep, .com, tech bubble, absolutely. Yeah, we haven't really seen this. This was kind of like when you had companies like pets.com, and I mean, people didn't understand it back then, but there were a lot of companies coming through where you had things that literally had zero earnings, and they had literally no earnings, and they were just being pumped and pumped and pumped. And we haven't seen this type of action, because this is not the only stock that's doing this right now. It's just one of the ones that everyone's talking about. We haven't seen this kind of action for so long. It's been decades. And you know why this is starting to come in? This is the word, leverage. We're bringing leverage back into the US traders, and also all of us, the retail community. We're getting into CFDs. We're getting into options. We're getting into the ability to take $1, stretch it to 5 or 10, and therefore put some real hurt and pain on some of these stocks. So very, very interesting. Let's talk about these markets though. So we've got here basically the US 500. We've got the US 500 pretty much trapped with an upward trend line. Now, a lot of you would know that I'm not a big fan of trend lines. However, I think it's very valid to have an upward trend line through this. If you use SPX, you'll get the same one. SPX, remember, we always use that, the real market, whenever possible, and you'll have this uptrend line that just continues to come through very closely. We've got body close, body closes, body closes, body closes. Where are we opening today? I think about 38.46 here on the S&P. The S&P is always the number one, of course, driver of markets momentum each way. So it'll be interesting to see if we continue to hold this. We've got the 20 below. We've talked about that so much. The 20 on the Nasdaq, just amazing how it's holding it constantly. And obviously the trend is up. But this just continues to be the thing that we get hit, we come back, we get hit, we come back, we get hit, we come back. What happens if we get a lower high and a lower low? A sequence that we haven't done before. And I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about this sequence because it's a sequence that I use heavily in price action based trading. And I think it's really essential that we learn about it and we just think about markets logically. So we'll do that. Let's go back over to the community here. Matthew says throw back to the .com bubble. Absolutely. Andrew C is technically correct. Last time it did happen was maybe a Hertz or a Kodak. So not that long ago, with obviously bankrupt companies being bailed out. But they were probably a little bit less than now what we're seeing. We're seeing it through so many stocks coming through here, not just GME, as I mentioned. Anyone here following the Schiller PE, says Roman. Yeah, Schiller PE's come back into the discussion point. So obviously Schiller PE, you can just literally go to multiple.com. You see here the Schiller. We are trading at a 34.92 Schiller. This has become more popular to talk about just recently because, of course, we have the Black Tuesday event, which came after the Roaring 20s. And now we've got an incredible, really high kind of Schiller. The Schiller's been high, though, for quite some time. So we've always had it now for quite some time in the 20s. This is the first time it's really cracked a new high, though, recently. So it's become more important. I'd probably put it in a video coming up. Schiller PE, you should really learn about it. It's one of those things. Here you go. You'll see here, price earnings ratio is based on the average inflation adjusted earnings for the previous 10 years. It's more of a smooth kind of thing than a standard PE. If you look at a standard PE, what you'll notice, a little bit different here. Now, of course, when you look at usually bad earnings, though, you've got to account for this. This was 2008 financial crisis. This is obviously now. What you will have is you'll have terrible PE ratios through a crisis period. We also are in a new norm of multiples because of tech companies. Thomas Love says it's nothing like 1999. Was I even alive? I was certainly alive, Thomas Love, yeah. I obviously it's different, but we haven't seen some of those types of big moves on these stocks in terms of more leverage is coming back in. Traders, investors nervous, traders rejoice, says Siddharth. Absolutely, that's something that is certainly occurring. Sandola says put call ratios are an all-time 5-day average low since right before the .com pop. Well, I'm not sure if we're going to. We know that Feb is obviously the weaker month, but look, we have to be pretty bullish. We all are. I know you are as well, Siddharth. We're basically bullish here on the channel, medium long. We're bullish after the election. The way that some things played out was bullish for certain industries. And now we're just interested in finding probably certain sectors I think are still presenting pretty good value and certain sectors are overpriced. Let's refresh just here on this particular one. Now look at this Intel dive it took. It's 9.29% there on Friday. Let's go to the 1 month movement here. You'll notice the tech stocks came back into focus. We can see that with even if we look at the Nasdaq in just a few moments. But let's load up that Nasdaq and just have a look at the lines that we had drawn up on it. Let's load up the US 100. So it's almost completed here. We've got a 13,500 reached. We're starting to get that really nice kind of vertical going through. And the more this goes vertical, in fact, what you almost want to see it do, if you are kind of more of a bearish person, you want to see it go super vertical to 14. Like just go bang, almost like 1 day, 2 days, just hit it. And the reason you want that is because when it goes super vertical, we've seen when it gets a little bit carried away from the 20, the kind of decline that will instantly come in. The correction will come in, probably Feb, March. There could be a correction here. I've seen a few people talking about taxes as well, being a big thing. Whenever a new administration comes in the US, Obviously, you're going to have taxation changes. They usually happen in the first 6 months, 3 to 6 months. At that point, obviously, corporate America will not like taxes, breaks innovation, hurts those kind of things. Mert says, how long is this sustainable? Well, it's sustainable as long as the price action holds up. So we'll be talking about that very soon. CS says, FX Evolution is 2021 crash incoming. I think a correction will income this year, especially if we continue this way, but not a crash. The central banks basically have ruined the chance of crashing from many areas. Nocturne says, please let the DXY pump. We'll be talking about dollar index very soon as well. And Sandola here says, after hours trading is causing the severe rise with their pumping. A few people wanting the market to tank a little bit. Roman says, Intel is slowly dying, so sad. Negative growth in earnings across all of its businesses. It's pretty bad when you consider there's strong computer sales growth as well. Chaos says, big week for earnings. Tesla, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft. Absolutely. If you don't already have it, just remember, Earnings Whispers, very good website for getting this kind of sheet. It's really cool. One of the things I like about it, simple but easy. Before open or after close, when do they actually report in the US? That's really cool. I know it's super basic, but a lot of these earnings reports you get, they just don't even have that. It's like they're not made by traders or investors or anything. They just don't lay it out well. This is obviously the best laid out, like little imagery. And the images are very powerful to be able to see all the things. So good little bit of information, a bit better than text. Matt wants a UK shout out. Shout out to the UK. I've been there. Good place. Good to have you here as well, Gravity. Absolutely. Thomas Love says, in 1999, tech stocks were rated by eyeballs. The more views our webpage got, the more the share price rose. That's true. It wasn't based on much in particular. Now we go 2021, Thomas Love. Now it's rated on people that want to fight Wall Street to push a stock that has no fundamentals to $1,000. We've changed. We've moved so far ahead, haven't we? I think the big thing that you want to be looking at this year, though, is retail community getting more into leverage. The more we pump leverage ourselves, the more likely there is for a nasty Wall Street correction. But look, there's so many warning signs, but at the same time, as investors, we buy the companies that we like, and as traders, we really don't care. And that's the distinction. If you are a trader, you follow the price action. If you're looking at the stock market right now, US 500, is it giving us a signal to sell? We have not had a signal to sell this market for ages. So let's talk about selling signals quickly here. What am I looking for if you're talking about sell signals? Well, traditionally, you have a market does this. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We all know that. If you label this peaks and troughs and higher peaks and higher troughs, and for anyone that's done the course that we offer, obviously you'll know what we're talking about here. Basically, you're reading short-term trend and putting it together to create longer-term kind of trend reading. What you're looking for to break this cycle is a breakdown, a retracement. That retracement will then be a lower peak and then a new break to a lower trough. So basically, here's our higher trough. Once the market breaks under that, it does what's called a long-term change of trend on a significant time frame, like a daily. When that happens, we're interested in potentially looking at opportunity. Now, what would that mean, or what would that look like here? Probably something like this. Let's draw it with a proper arrow. It would probably be like something like this, and then it breaks down. And at the same time, it would break down, because you're always going to have that pickup. At the same time it breaks down, what's probably going to happen is going to create like a little double top somewhere or something like that. And we're going to get through one of the most key moving averages, something like the 20 moving average. We're going to see a close below it at the same time. When we start to see those things, we know that we've changed the trend for at least that shorter time period. Now, with any corrective phase, it's not going to be necessarily very long. It's going to be very fast, it's going to be very quick, and you blink and you're going to miss it. And that's similar to every other one that's happened ever since we started this rally back in March. every correction hasn't lasted very long. And it's unlikely to last very long again if it does happen in Feb and March. Yes, Siddharth, we use the 2050 EMA and the 200 SMA. I don't have the 200 on here, but generally the 200. David says, hi from Tobermory, Ontario. I know Ontario, Canada, but I don't know that particular place. But hello, mate. Good to have you here. A few people asking about bonds. I can't tell you whether buy or sell bonds. But bonds, obviously, they're not the best instruments right now in many ways. Roman says, have we ever heard you talk about long-term treasury bonds on this channel? High yields could cause some headaches for higher PE growth stocks. Certainly can, and that is something that a lot of people look at. However, I haven't been bringing bonds into it too much because we haven't seen bonds affecting the markets heavily at this stage. If there is a trigger point, I will bring it into the analysis. But I try to just kind of stick to what we're doing at the moment. And I guess this comes to a community for all of you. And I would appreciate it today as well. Like, one of the things we're trying to do as a community in 2021 is I want to streamline the channel into what you guys want, what everybody wants out there. And everyone wants something different. But we've obviously been covering, I like to cover kind of what interests me at the time. So you'll notice we did a little bit of crypto recently and we'll do it today. And that's because it's interesting right now. Stocks are interesting a lot of the time, but they're not always interesting. So I like to kind of do the technical analysis, learnings and teachings and help you guys out with some of the things I've learned at the same time as we look at, a little bit different markets. So Bitcoin and gold and silver. Well, we saw here gold has done a lightning bolt. It went a little bit further back than we would have hoped. So we had basically good market resistance structure. We had the pickup. We failed to make a new peak, came down. And whenever you see this, if you ever see this kind of thing where we get a trough and then an equal trough, and you've got this kind of intervening kind of peak here where it's failed to make a new high, when you see that, you have to wait for it to come and break this high again. When it did that, if it does that, it's going to 1900. Incredibly likely at that point, because think about what's happened. It's gone up, failed, come down, done the normal pick up off of 50 EMA off the previous roll reversal resistances. It's then moved up, failed to make a new high. That's the importance. That sucks. When it fails to make a new high here, if it makes a new high, it probably goes to the 1900. If it fails to do so, comes back, then you've unfortunately generally got to wait for this little double bottom. You basically got to wait for it to come up, do this if you want to be conservative. And when it gets through that point, you don't even need to wait for it to break this high. As soon as it gets through here, it's going to go ballistic. What we've got right now, though, is the lightning bolt. So we've got a movement up, we've got a peak, we've got a higher trough, and we just got a confirmation close above. So hopefully, now that we're back above this zone, we can finally see gold move a little bit higher today. A few people ask me, what's my view on VWAP? Yeah, I like VWAP, but it's more of a scalping tool. So if you're going to use VWAP and you're going to rely on indicators, that particular one's good for scalping. So gold looking relatively good here. Notice there's some wick buying off here. That was probably a little bit too much, but it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Now, are we pretty clear on our levels? I think the levels are very similar to last time. We want to see the 1900 around that area, probably find resistance. And then we know that for longer term gold bulls, you have to set your alert up here. 1960. We get past that, most likely we go and start testing those 2050 levels again, because it's just such a key level. 1960, strong rejection. 1960, strong rejection. These rejections were so fierce that if we move through 1960 for gold moving forward, which I think we will over time, I mean, we know that gold should go up against the US dollar over time, 2050 seems very likely at that point. And I don't even think that's very speculative. I think that's more of a fairly good technical because it's rejected so many times. Remember, use the previous market history to help us as traders, help us as investors to analyze what's going on in the markets. Big thank you to everyone that's come out as well for today. I know we did miss a few weeks there. Unfortunately, had some stuff that was going on that we had to I had to do, and we had to get ready, so it was good. And now we're back into what I think is probably going to be a very big schedule for this year. More consistency coming through the channel. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing and giving us a big thumbs up if you enjoy what we're doing so far. Kevin says, hi Tom, based on the sequence you just explained, wouldn't gold be in a downtrend? Depends on the time frame you're talking about there, Kevin. So remember, you're looking at different time frames. So if you're looking at sequences, I mean, on a 4-hour here, basically you would be looking for, yes, a new peak to be formed here. When that happens, you're triggering buys. But if you go down to a smaller time frame, like a 2-hour, you're going to have a much faster kind of like little change of trend that's just happened. All depends on the particular time frame that you're looking at, and then you've got to allocate your take profit for that. But what you want to do, Kevin, and this is for everyone out there, is when you get those breaks of peaks, so this happens, it comes up, and you're thinking, I need the confidence to be able to hold my trade into the right direction. You need to recognize, okay, I was once trading that on, let's say, a 15-minute chart, and I was long. Things are working out for me. When it breaks through here, hey, this is the 4-hour chart. Things just confirmed. I've got a 15-minute trade in, but things went really, really good so far in this trade. And I think that this is going to therefore go to the next level. And that's when you kind of change the way that you can trade. You basically turn what is a semi-successful trade into a beast, because you're making a 15-minute decision or a 1-hour decision, getting into a trade, recognizing it's gone a little bit further than you thought. You might be still in it, and you go, wow, this is now a 4-hour setup, but I've got a small stop loss, or I can break even it, or whatever I can do there, and I can change my take profit. It's okay to do that as long as it's part of your plan. If it breaks past here, we continue with that. Got Sandollar77 coming in with, he says, no worries, mate. All good. It's all good. No worries, Sandollar. Yeah. Thank you very much to the community as well for everything that's happened so far. We had a great 2020, and I think we're going to have a good 2021. So remember, if you have a plan, create scenarios for that plan. It's okay to have scenarios when you trade, but you just must have a plan for the situations that you're going to feel. Christina says, how do you find a promising crypto? By looking at screening. I mean, look for volume, but what else? How to look at volume? Yeah, you can certainly look at volume for crypto. I mean, obviously, you can even just do things like look at coin market cap. And when you're looking at coin market cap, you can just look at 24-hour changes. If you see crazy 24-hour change. The thing with cryptos is once the run's on, they often go quite crazy. So they have like usually a period. Now, what you want to do here is you want to see what happened last time it had a crazy run on it. Remember, a lot of these cryptos, some will never be around. So you may be looking at them more as a trade than an investment. If you're doing that, let's say you see a movement up, and then you go back and you have a look at the previous price history and you say, okay, well, what happened previously when it had that movement up? Similar to Tesla, what happened? It ran for 5 days. You'll find the cryptocurrency has a tendency to move the same amount of days each time. So it'll move like 5 days up crazy. You might have got it on day one. You know a timing. Look for the previous history to teach you some of the psychology of how that particular cryptocurrency trades. That's one of the things you do. Volume obviously is good as well to look for accumulation. Sometimes you'll want to look at breakout patterns. Like I can already see here on LiQWYD, it was trading within a range there for a little period and then it broke out. Obviously that would have triggered buys. Here we've got a range here on Chainlink at the top. Possibly that's now turning into a bit of a channel. Who knows? This is just line charts. I'd have to go look through all of them. You know that, of course, XRP has its own problems. But one of the things I do, volume into whether we have accumulation into learning from the previous history. So let's talk about this Bitcoin first. Let's talk about what's going on here. So we had the symmetrical. I drew this one up for the private community. I was talking about this in our webinars as well. And I was basically saying, look, if it breaks through here, it's going to find some weakness. And we thought originally down to about the 30,000. Then it got triggered under the 30,000. You can see it quickly rejected. So we thought maybe at that point it could go all the way down to possibly this 25, 26 level. It seems to have failed to do that now. Now what's happening is it's testing this 20. So we've found the 20 moving average being wick buying pressure the whole time. Now we've just touched the 20 exponential on the daily, probably the most important time frame you can look at really. And it's found some type of resistance beginning of today. So we go into something like the 4 hour then. You do this with any pair, it'll work the same way. And we know it's resistance. So is this an incredibly important time for the bulls and the bears on Bitcoin? I would say hell yes it is. And the reason that is because we've got bullish hammer, there's the rejection. We've got market resistance structure coming off the previous supports. That acted as resistance. And the market kind of did this weird little didn't know what it was doing after that point. The buyers and the sellers weren't really winning each other over. And we've come up and we've tested this point again. Now, if we come under and we get under this zone again, do we think that this time the seller is going to be pretty brutal down to at least like a 28 or even a 26? Certainly should be and could be. If it gets through this zone though, what do we think about the market? Well, it's going to try to go for the 38,000. At least the 36, but you would think the 38 as well, because that's where the previous kind of market topped out. And we're getting through that 20 exponential. So it's a very important time here for Bitcoin. Very important at this zone. Stefano says, is there any reason you don't use the 10 MA? I found it gives very reliable signals when it crosses the 20 MA. So using EMAs, Stefano, or MAs? EMAs and MAs will give you slightly different. 10's okay. We just don't use it because I don't like using too shorter time frames on the moving averages. I'm happy to get less signals and a bit better quality. $10 says, going out on a limb here, Bitcoin will finish 150,000 by end of 2021. That's a pretty big call there, $10, but look, hopefully you're correct if you're in it. That's good. Kunal says, what do you think of the ASX? Seems like it's ready to run. Yeah, it certainly does. It will require the other market to come with it, though, being the S&P 500. So we'll look at that in a minute. But yeah, I think Bitcoin's a very important point. Technically makes a lot of sense that it's struggling here and it's starting to hit it. And I think you're going to see the dynamic of the buyers and the sellers. Obviously, we're going to see some war happen in this Monday session. We had the weekend. That was kind of like the little bit of a, not much going on. And then now we're ready to test a key level coming into the US session. Let's have a look at what's happening with the GameStop. So it's still holding around that 92. I'm just very fascinated by this one. It interests me. When you see something that's a bit of an anomaly, it always is a bit interesting. All right, well, we'll go back over some of the other things. So we've got gold. We're talking about that one. Basically with gold, it's right at that point you want it to be. 1862, we want to see it continue its strength. However, dollar index is going to be the key to gold, isn't it? And what the hell is dollar index doing over here? It's starting to try to go bullish again. There's some weird stuff going on, the technicals here for dollar index. What did we have recently? We had it close above the 20. We knew at this point it was going to that 90.70. It hit the 90.70 first, came down, gave us a great entry here, went up to the 91, which is kind of what we all thought, found resistance. Okay, that's fine. Came back too far. So what we were hoping was at that point, if we were trading, we were looking at picking up this trend line and we were looking for bullish engulfings here. We were looking for any kind of signal that was a buy signal off this zone. It didn't happen. It broke through and you can see it was the correct trend line because it found resistance and spiked down off it. Now we're getting strange, weird consolidation on the 4 hour just into the 2 MAs. So no clear direction here, I would say, from dollar index right now. Does anyone think they've got clear direction here? I'd like to know if anyone knows where the dollar index is going or where they think it is. I don't think there's too much clear direction right now from this one. We want to go out to the bigger time frames. We want to consider what's happening on a weekly as well. What's happened there? A couple of bullish candles. No really strong bearish one. It kind of just looks like it came back, found that 90 psychological and is trying to bounce off that and find the buying pressure. We still know we're very far away from the 20. which again on the weekly here was the last point where it came up, found resistance. And we know that if it gets to this 91, 70, 92 area, there's most likely going to be selling pressure there for the dollar. Again, if it did happen. And we also know that there was that one weekly bullish hammer off our red zone, off our range that we thought it could get to after it broke 92. So I'm looking for more here for this particular pair. But I think if we do go long, it struggles in this zone. We'll actually draw that up right now. Let's put that rectangle in right now. Change the color on it. Where's my color slider? Don't think I've even got it here. There we are. Change that. We'll go green. And we'll put this as green as well. There we go. So that definitely, I think, is going to be a very tough time for the bulls to get through. That's for sure on the bigger time frames. But right now what we've got is we've got consolidation, which could break either way. Let's go to a 2-hour chart. Have a look there. Looks like kind of broke above in terms of a close. I'm not going to use a 2-hour chart that much. But yeah, I think it looks long right now. But I'm not won over either way. FOMC may give it some direction, says Tom. Absolutely. So we look here at the Forex calendar. Let's just quickly go through this. I'll chuck it in there as well for everyone. If you don't have a calendar, there you go. I just posted that in the chat. So basically, this is forexfactory.com. It's something I've used pretty much since I started trading. You can select here the time and the place that you're in. So right now, for some reason, it thinks I'm in the US, but I am in Australia. So you can go down here, where GMT plus 10, Melbourne. Set it. You can select whether it's daylight savings or not, I believe. Click the save. You can see here at 11:33 p.m. And then when we go back to the calendar for the week ahead, we can even filter this calendar and everything. So we scroll through and you'll see here Thursday morning my time this week, January 28th, FOMC press conference, FOMC statement. Pretty important to the US dollar this week. What are they going to say? What are they going to do? Cash rate, etc. We've also got advanced GDP. Usually this is not such a big number, but it may be a little bit of a catalyst. Do we see this number or better than this number? Could be important to the stocks. And then, of course, the earnings as well. Nocturne says if you draw trend lines from the top. Yeah, I'm not too big on trend lines too much, Nocturne. I assume you're talking about dollar index. I usually try to draw trend lines very sparingly, and that's because you'll find you draw heaps of trend lines and you end up making tons of weird decisions based on maybe trend lines that can be seen, they can't be seen, they're not clear. I think like this one here on the SPX is fairly clear to me because I like the bodies. I like the fact the body just keeps getting hit. I mean, look at this. It looks like a bullish candle and just rejects it. Bullish candle starts rejecting it. So we know that's a pretty solid body on the SPX. I like that one, but I don't draw too many of them. Thomas Love says DXY short term is unpredictable at the moment. I think it is. It's very tough market. So hard right now to determine. I think we did determine it really well up until this point, up until it came back to the trend on these bottoms all the way through. Failed to give us an engulf. It didn't give us a buy signal, but it failed to do what it meant to do, and then it went into weird mode. And we're in weird mode right now. And you can see that because we've got dollar strengthening, yet Bitcoin, silver, gold, all strengthening against the dollar at the same time. Very weird. A few people saying everything is gapping up. We actually need to load up our Webull. If you're interested in a decent US platform, we have I think it's like a link below for Webull. You get some stocks or something, 4 stocks. They extended it. They sent me an email where they spell my name wrong. But they give you 4 stocks. So that's pretty good. It's probably worth $7 each. I don't know how much they give you in terms of the stock. So we've got here the pre-market. We'll just quickly set this to what we like. So we usually set this, I like setting it to the 20 billion plus kind of club. I'm interested in those kind of stocks. I don't care what the earnings is, so we'll just go everywhere. And then we'll see what the pre-market looks like. So we've got a bunch of gap ups here through these companies, 486, so it'll provide them all. EA coming in hot, 146. Oh man, that's a great gaming company, not. Then we've got whole bunch of others. We've got Apple here, 139. So that's testing that 140, 2.61%. Pretty strong there. Nice to see. What else have we got? Alphabet doing well. Quite a lot of tech stocks. Obviously, Tesla still with the 1%. That's a little bit smaller than it's been recently. This is one I'm looking at. I want to do some analysis with you guys on CRM. Salesforce. Bit of a sleeper at the moment. Interesting stock. We definitely look at that very soon. Salesforce was one of the ones I wanted to. Few people saying could be like Head and Shoulders here. There could be a lot of weird things going on with the dollar index is what we're talking about. So basically, yes, I can see what you're saying. They're saying is if you get through here probably, then you've got your left shoulder head and you got your right shoulder consolidation. Now, if that happened and you got through, yeah, I think you would be valid to say that. If you actually look at some of the currencies as well, you'll notice it quite prevalent in terms of strong resistances. US dollar Swiss comes to mind. Much cleaner looking inverse head and shoulders here. Look at this one, guys. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Remember, I look at all markets. I'm always tinkering in all of these different markets. You don't want to probably do that. What you want to do is focus on a few things, look at them, understand them, trade them, do that kind of thing. But the same principles that we talk about in this channel, you can apply them to all the markets. But look at this strong resistance here. Look at this 89.20. Oh, that's a big dot. Go to the smaller dot. But this 89.20 here, such a strong level of resistance here for the US dollar Swiss. Isn't it beautiful? Very cool. Got that coiling effect coming on. If it breaks through, we get through a 50 exponential. Could be a stock, remember. Could be a commodity. Could be Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. If you see these kind of setups, it's the same philosophy. It's the psychology of the market. We're coming down. We're bouncing up, we're coming down, hit a new low. Okay, that's a new trough, effectively. Weakness in the market, then something changes. Pushes up, consolidates, breaks through, usually some moving average it's been kind of holding it on the way down. Consolidates, coils, then it makes a new high. And really a pattern is just the psychology of the market. Start thinking about your patterns more than just saying, that's a head and shoulders. Think about the way that head and shoulders forms. And then you're building yourself up to knowing the psychology of that market. And it's cool. That's what gets me excited. When I started thinking about this pattern is actually the psychology of the market, changed the game, I reckon. Sandollar77 says, Tom, what do you think, what do you consider as the top 3 warning signs of impending correction in the market? Ooh, good question, Sandollar. Oh, okay. So I haven't gone through a huge amount of crashes. I've obviously seen the GFC. I've studied it. I've studied other crashes, as we all have. It's always something in plain sight. Now, it depends what you're saying from a fundamental perspective or from a technical perspective. The fundamentals that I think could crash or correct the market, because I don't think there's a crash, that we're going to have something like tax, and then the market will be like, oh, the tax is bad. It won't necessarily be that bad. Okay, it won't be, but it'll be like that'll be something that does it in the first kind of 3 to 6 months. Or we might have, hey, this vaccines are taking longer than we thought to roll out, even though we already knew they'd take a long time, and we didn't figure that. That could always be another impending kind of problem there fundamentally. It's probably not going to be too much questions about earnings at this stage, because a lot of it's been driven by tech and there is a lot of growth there. And then in terms of technicals, the signs that you're going to see a correction. As I said before, if you've got a reoccurring event such as this on the Nasdaq, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, it becomes very likely that if that 20 gets broken below, that you're starting to see really a failing. Also, of course, if that happens and you've got something like this happening, which is the trough, the lower peak, the lower trough, that sequence definitely is breaking the trend towards the downside. So that would be probably my 1 and 2. Reoccurring something, breaking down, e.g. here, getting too far. And then the last one will probably be just a complete hyperextension. So if you get like a hyperextension far, far away from a moving average, I start to really, really look for anything that just seems like some kind of too far away average. I usually go back over history, find out how far ever percentagely it's been away, and go with that. But yeah, there is, it's really tough because crashes and corrections are incredibly hard to predict. I like to follow just the price action. Eggsy says signs of inflation might crash it. Markets at zero interest rates junkie. Absolutely. Yeah. Inflation would certainly, sign of inflation could be a concern. But again, that's meant to be that's meant to be managed by the Fed to a degree. We'll see how they go there. Roman says, just like we've been saying today here, Roman, anyone tempted to buy GME with 5x leverage? Roman, you're a crazy man. Oh, we're down to 88. This is not good, guys. We were meant to be 140 right now. This has got to be one of the funniest markets, though, I've seen this GME. I mean, it's not funny if you're a short seller. I feel really bad for those commercial short seller small hedges that were going in there. They were certainly struggling. Now, we've kind of also gone through some interesting things. Whoa, guys. We refreshed Market Watch and we got our friends at Goldman Sachs. They've told us again. They're super bullish. Excellent. Super bullish, they say. Let's have a quick look at this article together here. You know we love Goldman Sachs on this channel. What do they say? The call of the day, Goldman Sachs analysts were bullish on the US economy's rebound 2021. But they said there were three big risks. Siddharth, they've got their own three. The investment bank is forecasting gross domestic product growth of 6.6%, which is 2.5% points above the consensus. All right. Okay, whatever. That's just, yeah, that's something they're saying. What's their real risk here? The most severe downside risk, the analyst noted, was the threat the new vaccine resistant strain of the virus wouldn't be working, I guess is what they're probably saying. Okay, what's their second one? More virus. Wow. Okay. That's a very useful article. Yeah, but I was just going to say, it's interesting. We're starting to get to a point where if you look at a lot of the articles, they went from bubble. They were talking about bubbles about 3 weeks ago. Now they are super bullish. Every one of them. Super bullish. Everything is super bullish, make money. It's all good. Here we go. We've got our GameStop article here. And that's another warning sign, Siddharth. We don't like it when they go super bullish. We like it when they talk about bubbles. The more bubble talk, the better it is. All right. Well, we're going to take some never trust the banks as dividend cake. Siddharth says time to dump. Kunal says Wall Street bets for the win. There's a few Wall Street bets people in here. Well, I like those memes. They're pretty funny. I was actually on there before. I was looking at this chart. Oh, there's probably some stuff that wouldn't be safe for my stream on this particular website, but I did have it open before. I just find this is too funny. Like, I might do a lot of this stuff, obviously professionally as a trader, but I do find this website funny. I think it's terrifying, but it's funny. All right. So we talked about that monthly R2 getting reached on the channel in our last video. We were basically talking about the fact that we had the 3863. The R2 was reached. The R2's been reached here. 25th we're currently on. So only not that many more trade days for January. But I do want to just quickly bring up this again, and I'll just keep mentioning this because I think it is a real threat this year, especially if someone smells the tax. Because remember, if we smell some kind of weird corporate tax coming in from the Democrats in the US, the markets don't like that. So again, I just put you to this chart, and I'm just saying this because it's just interesting statistically. Feb has been a bit of a nasty month, and so is March. But I want to really reiterate this. April is the best. Look how good April has been. April has been good. Now, it's skewed a little bit by last year's figures that are now in this report. And I'll be compiling some better reports for you, I think, than this one. But there was if you have a look here, these are pretty statistically good months. April's good. May, it's pretty negated right now. July is awesome. September, as I say, September, October, August, scary months of the year for US investors. November's always great. And specifically, as I mentioned, around that 14th of December, 12th of December, generally a very nice run there. And these things seem to happen a lot of times. So when you're looking at stocks and you're thinking, I like the look of that S&P, or I like the look of that Apple or whatever, and Apple's double bottoming. You don't make your decision based on those things, yeah. But let's say you had Apple coming down and did a little double bottom, and you were thinking, oh, I'm thinking of buying this break, and it's April. Well, you know, statistically, that's a good month. You got your double bottom break, your technicals are saying buy, 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 and you've got that with you. Does this give you confidence as a trader? Absolutely. And if it gives you confidence as a trader, it means you can hold your position. That's awesome. So a few people mentioning Bitcoin's going mental. So let's have a quick look there. Load up our Bitcoin. Obviously, it's probably just broken past and gone ballistic. There we go. So it's started to break through that resistance. Let's see if it can hold it. 1 hour. We'll go down into. Interesting thing about this 1 hour is we have around this. Oh, that's nice. It's getting up there. We've got that resistance. Has not been broken up against on the 1 hour and close. So let's see how that happens. We've got 13 minutes to come back and watch that one. But nice, strong price action coming through here for Bitcoin. So let's see if it gets through there, closes above, if it can continue on for a bit of a bull run here. And this will be actually kind of semi-unusual as well for Bitcoin. Now, there's a few things that we're interested in seeing moving forward. One thing is we've got Chinese Lunar New Year, or the Lunar New Year. Sorry for everyone, for a lot of Asians. And that area is coming in the 12th of Feb. And I just stick with this because usually that week of the Lunar New Year is very consolidatory. It usually just sits there and does nothing. But this is an interesting break coming forward. Boomer Dave. I like your name, Boomer Dave. BTC breakout alert. Now the question is, Boomer Dave, $5 by the way, thank you very much there. Are you actually a boomer? Or are you a younger person calling yourself Boomer Dave? I'm not sure. Am I a boomer? I actually don't know this. What is a boomer? I don't even know what a boomer is anymore. Is it someone that's over like 30? Or is it someone that's over 40? Or is it what we all think of it? Because I always know a boomer was kind of like my parents. Like they were 55, 60, that kind of age. Seems like anyone over 30 is a boomer now. You guys let me know what's going on there. I'm not too sure. Siddharth says, I'm not Chinese, but I will appreciate the red envelopes. That's a bit greedy of you, Siddharth. Do you think utilities are due for some rotation, Ed says? Well, I think we're going to be looking at that very soon, Ed. We certainly will. We will be looking at those ones. Whoa, Boomer Dave, 60 years old and all in crypto. What a progressive. Very good, Boomer Dave. Look at that. I like it. I don't like the all in, but hey, man. 55 plus is boomer. That's what we think boomer is. I'm telling you. The internet thinks boomer is 30 plus. Depends who you ask. I asked someone I know that's like 20. I said, am I a boomer? They said, yes. I said, whoa. Yeah, there you go. All right. So let's talk about some stocks here. Let's talk about CRM. I want to mention this. I just want to talk about it quickly. So CRM, of course, Salesforce. Now they did a whole bunch of stock acquisition. They bought that. They bought Slack. They did all of that. They've been kind of hovering, floating around, doing their little thing here. You can see the price action. So I just want to go back to the weekly here on the price action. Now, as far as weird technology companies go, and obviously this is a big one, it hasn't actually been outperforming too well. And it's been coming back down and hovering around this area. And you can see here, there's quite a few weeks of coiling kind of support that's occurring. Then you go in. It's probably something that you would want to load your volume onto as well. You can load whatever volume you want and have a look at how the volume. So the volume's actually been relatively stable recently. A decent amount of volume coming back in after. And look at that, even that selling pressure volume has been pretty small actually. And then it comes back down. So you probably want to do some volume analysis, get your numbers, all that type of thing. But this is the interesting point. 230 is what we're approaching. What happens after that? Do we just suddenly run to the 270? We know 265, 270 has been heavy resistance selling on this stock when it was hitting it back before, of course, the September period. This is a very interesting point. We get through here, consolidation, decent amount of volume actually. Remember, less volume here than there is here. What the hell's going on down there? I also had a look, and I believe... let's see if this thing's even updated. What's going on here? So there's a few downgrades. Oh, no. 315. I don't want them to support us. But yes, they've got to buy 315 put in January 22nd. So that was one of the most recent ones I saw. But it's a very interesting stock to me. I'm going to continue watching this one. $77 coming in with another US $4. Thanks so much, Sandollar. Gives us another coffee. Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, man. David says, is this recorded? Yeah, we do record it. We chuck it on the channel after we're done. Kevin says, at FX Evolution, I know this is a Forex pair, but Euro Yen has some nice technicals on the 4 hour. We'll definitely check that one out. I'll write it down and have a look at it soon. So this particular stock, just something that I'm interested in looking at the break. I think there is real, of course, fundamentals around this. You want to do more due diligence in the business and make sure you believe in it, but it depends whether you want to trade it or invest in it, obviously. It's a very interesting level there. Check out that Bitcoin. We've got 7 minutes to go. Let's see how that's holding up. So we've got the 1 hour here still breaking through. We'll certainly watch this one throughout the stream here. We'll continue to come back here and check it out. Does that mean dollar index is failing a little bit? Not really. Seems to be quite strong as well. Very interesting. Go back to the Webull chart here. Look at the pre-markets, and then we'll probably go over to some questions, and we'll look at that Euro Yen. So we'll go pre-market. Ones that are down, our good friends at Goldman, 289, down 1%. Caterpillar, not really anything crazily down into the pre-market. Mostly just up, which is awesome. Up is good if you're in it all. Nothing too notable here. Don't think there's anything too crazy on that one. Storm Rage says, hi, can you check 1 inch USD? 1 inch. Like you type in 1 inch? I'm not sure what this is, man. Not sure what that is, but I will check Euro Yen while you confer with me. All right, so Euro Yen. So the key technical that they're looking at here on the 4 hour, I think it's fair, is you've got basically a support, a resistance, 2050 exponential crossing each other, acting as dynamic support at the same point as the resistance has been tested from role reversal. So you got resistance, support. Obviously now you've got that kind of buying pressure. And you've got a couple of choices here. You look through the structure and you say, okay, well, what happens if we start moving up? What do we have to deal with? Where's the profit? So you know that there's some kind of 127 resistance. Previous resistance is over here, spiked through, got to 127.50, failed. You also know there's weird amount of consolidation here. Not my favorite thing on recoveries to go into that kind of consolidation. So I always look at the left-hand side and I say, well, what happened in the past? Now, if you had a market that just went up, down, did what you're seeing here, and then broke up, and there was only 1 or 2 touches of the resistance, I like it a lot more. And the reason I like it a lot more is you don't have to deal with whatever this is. What happens if this comes up and it does this? That's like a little bit painful if it does that. You don't really want that one. So remember, use the market history as traders to teach you some of the ways that this currency works. I do like that though, and I certainly like the cross at the role reversal. It's always great. David Franklin joining the trading community. Thank you so much, David. I'm still waiting to get back my custom art for you guys for the emojis and everything. If there are some emojis or something you want me to get custom done, I'm doing that right now. So we're going to have a whole brand new 1 month, 3 months, whatever, 6 months subscribers to the community. Appreciate it a lot. And yeah, definitely want to reward you guys with some cool little images there. Can we look at ETH? Yeah, we can look at ETH. I think that's cool. Let's do some Ethereum. We use the Kraken. So ETH doing really well. Man, I tell you what, I thought ETH would hit 800. I certainly did. That back in that resistance. But and wow. We knew it would do it around here when it broke through here. Very likely to hit that 800. But it's just kept going, hasn't it? It's kept very strong. Let's have a look at the weekly. So what you want to do here is, because we're reaching all-time highs, you're basically now looking back at 2017. You're saying, okay, what are the similarities? Will there be selling pressure at these highs, etc.? How is the market structuring into this as well? How are we approaching this zone and approaching this level? Well, we've got the resistance, 1442 around this area. We've got good market structure. Again, daily 20 moving average. Oh, yeah. Okay. Every time it comes down to this 20, it's finding buying pressure. That is already a sign for when you know, okay, well, maybe things are slowing down a little bit. It's looking pretty strong right now. Probably be driven a little bit by Bitcoin. Sometimes Bitcoin goes first and then Ethereum follows it after. So we might see what happens with Bitcoin there. But yes, certainly testing the resistance. Things are looking strong in terms of the way that's making higher lows as it's testing the resistances off and just slowly grinding higher. There's no reason to say this is negative right now. I don't see any negative kind of candles. I see wick rejections coming into the break. It's trying to break. Probably will go to an all-time high if it gets through, just because the nature of the ballistic kind of way that these currencies work. Again, thank you very much, David, for joining the community. It's great to have you on board. Oh, Thomas Love, it's a crypto. All right, man. Yes. So we need it versus US dollar. I guess this one will be okay. So this is a new crypto, I assume. When you don't have much history on something, it is more difficult to TA it up. So you know that, of course, this hit 3, it went through and it found some resistance. It's looking good. I mean, if it's this new, though, there isn't too much previous history. We know that the 2 acted as resistance, broke through. Obviously, already the 20 held it once, but it's barely got any data for it. So if it comes back down here, there'll probably be role reversal buying, just because that's the nature of these instruments and the way things work. Obviously, if it did come back down here, it would buy. But these all look strong. Buying candles here, rejections, everything like that. If that's all the data we have on it, though, very tough to go any further than that. Other than to say, how did it trade off? It seems to buy double zeros. So I would just go instantly important. Important. Every 50. You can see there's interactivity with this zone. So clearly it cares. Therefore, we've got, where's the 2? And then we're going to have, well, we think you would have thought the 250 would have stopped it as well. But back here, I just still put in every 50. Basically, I just put lines and see how it interacts with those zones. I just do that because previously it's held within these boundaries more than it hasn't. Beautiful little buy zone here. Nice bullish hammer, bang. Great. Back to the SPY. Yep, we'll go back there. So we'll look at US 500 futures. Looking at 0.13. Look at this complete disparity. 0.96 on the Nasdaq. 0.13 on the S&P. Wow. That's crazy. 0.13 here. So still really thinking about the same thing. I'll be interested to see the new pivots open up when they do so. Generally, almost every month, you usually try to see a retracement back to centrals, but we haven't seen that recently. Look at this. We got, actually, I guess we already started on the central here. So we had the central, didn't get back down to it, did get to it, and then, of course, it's moved up. So if we start at the top and the central's quite a lot lower for whatever reason, then that certainly could be a pullback zone for that month of Feb, when it does open. I'll be paying attention to the monthlies. Worthwhile. But things are looking really good here on the US 500. We're just looking at 20s for buy zones at the moment. And if it gets through the 20, of course, I'm still thinking March could be a little bit of correction. then we'll be looking for it after it closes below the 20. And then we'll be starting to draw out, okay, where's it going to next? But at this stage, looks fine. Okay, we got the 1 hour close there, just known as 12:01. We got the 1 hour close there. So now what we're looking for is, let's say there is a little bit of market pullback here on the smaller time frame, maybe a little pullback into the previous resistances, and then possibly some buying pressure comes through on the way to maybe the 35,000s. Still just a 1 hour, possibly just keeps going up until that point. But yeah, could also be a little pullback here where it does a little test. We'll keep watching this one. I think this is going to be a good one to watch throughout the session because Bitcoin tends to do its thing. Two touches. Absolutely, doctor. BlackBerry. BlackBerry. Another GameSpot. AMD. Okay, we'll definitely check out AMD. Let's load that up. AMD's kind of been slowly coiling below that 100, hasn't it? Yeah, $94. Starting to coil below there. What did we say about this last time? It would probably just go under $100 and short. It did. Now it's coiling. Of course, 100 won't stop it next time if it gets through. It'll blast through that and probably go at least this range. So I would basically just say, what would I be doing? I'd take the range between this resistance, between this support down here. I'd say we're stuck in a channel here. We're starting to range in. So we're basically building it in like this. Again, we break through, come down, retest most likely, move up to the next zone. And this looks like it's about $10 wide. So probably go into the 110 if we get to a new high. Trading pre-market 94.28. I like the structure. This was beautiful. We talked about that live. I remember that quite well. And of course, I like the coil before the key psychological 100 zone for the first time. Very nice. I don't know why people are fascinated with BlackBerry at the moment. I know it's become a bit of a meme kind of stock, but this thing is ridiculous. This is the second one that they're pushing at the moment. There's no valid reasons for this, yeah. As a community, I don't know. I don't see a valid reason for it. I mean, it's just craziness. 35% pre-market here on BlackBerry. $19. Another one of the favorites, I believe, of Wall Street bets and people that are just basically trading like that. By the way, big thank you as well. We've got up to 440, which is excellent. So thank you so much for obviously joining us on Monday morning pre-market. We'll be going through a lot more markets as we continue this session. Going through, of course, also our analysis in the sectors very soon, which I think you want to stay around for because it'll be a pretty good time. BlackBerry going crazy right now. Let's talk about Apple. Let's just quickly load up Apple. And also, at this point, I'd like to open it. If you have big stocks, I repeat, big stocks that you're interested in, bring them in. If you've seen a technical on them, we'll see if we can spot it as a community. And obviously, this whole thing is about learning from that type of stuff. So Apple, we know that this is a key resistance break going down right now in this pre-market into earnings. 142.90 into earnings. What does Apple have a tendency to do around earnings? Well, luckily with TradingView, we can actually see earnings, good. Earnings, bad. Earnings, depends on the hype train. So what happened each time here? Over here, we sold into earnings. So we got to go up, yeah, after that. Over here, we bought into earnings. I believe. No, we sold into earnings, so it went up again. Then we had over here, we're buying into earnings. So that usually means that it disappoints. Generally, if you look through earnings on Apple, I think most of the time when, this was before. Yeah, this is the first time, but it was in recovery already. Often these markets, when they go hyperactive into an earnings report, which it didn't do there, so that was breakthrough. Where are we? Earnings. Yeah, so it sold off during that period. So generally, if we go too high here into the earnings report, it'll have to really knock it out of the park. But 2.76 here in the pre-market, pretty nice. A few people want Tencent. Yeah, that's been going pretty crazy. National Australia Bank. Definitely check out that. Can we look at Facebook? Yeah, we can probably do that one. I'll write a few of these down. Let's do 10 cent. But I think for Apple traders, very important zone. Want to see a hold above this zone now. And this really opens and exposes that 150. $10 increments in Apple. Always been pretty solid times. Let's load up 10 cent. $7.66 right now. Big candle. 10%, 11%, sorry, up today. So this has been a favorite of mine for a little while now. I think this company is really good at acquiring and building out its kind of, I guess empire, you would say. But this has just gone, again, it's gone ballistic. We're in uncharted territory. Big candles like this in already a very large stock is usually not something it can hold. So I'd be pretty careful on something like this. I find that whenever you get these kind of candles after each other, like this is just an epic Asian run, which happens. I mean, there's nothing like the Asian market when it gets wild. It goes very crazy. But this is a very large company. So to push like this, I might continue to push higher, but notice the gaps. So we've got gap opens off these weeklies. Gap down and move, gap up. Strong candle. We might have a big week here. Maybe we go 800, maybe we go even higher. And if we get something that extreme, we will have a correction on this stock. But I think it's already due for it. Nice moves though. And I think that it's a very solid company moving forward. Apple is turning into IBM, says Siddharth. I'll give it to the Australian guys. We'll look at a bank. So this is National Australia Bank. One of our biggest banks in Australia, of the big four. So basically, NAB's kind of come and it's hit this resistance. And it's been struggling just below it. You can see here there's the 24, kind of 30 previous supports before that big crash that happened. You can see how badly the banks copped it in Australia, went as low as 13.24 and then did a capital raise and came back up. So this particular stock here, it's kind of at resistance for me. I'm wanting to see a bit more, but I don't really like its price at the moment. I think there will be just a bank general correction. We had a big run up after the federal government and all the stimulus and everything. I do think they're going to get squeezed, but yeah, this is probably a fair price right now. Level on technicals, it's really just at resistance. Neo, another one that everyone's been looking at. Neo is a tough one because it just, well, not really tough. You just keep buying it. It's been holding that 20. It kind of broke underneath the 20 here, hovered, broke resistance, going back to finding big buying pressure. 63.83 pre-market here on Neo. That's pretty cool. That's a crazy stock. I've got a few people that I know that are in this one. They like it. Doing all right. So obviously keep riding the trend. There's no reason not to. A few people are saying, oh, well, how do you know when to get out of something like this? Well, I guess you just set like a kind of a key level that you just go, okay, well, maybe the 50 is my trigger point. You've never hit the 50. You never closed underneath the 50. You just keep following it up. And that's the only way you can really do it. Maybe you set milestones and you take a third off, a third off, and a third off. That's also a strategy a lot of people use. Go back to Bitcoin. How's it going? Still moving up a little bit there during the session, which is good. But Neo, it's just really tough to say that anything negative is coming out of this stock right now from viewing it. You've got strong price action. You've got consolidation followed by big breakouts, followed by further moves up. And it looks like it's going to go and try to make a new high. David, yep, absolutely. The MAs are 20 exponential, 50 exponential, 200 simple. Thanks very much, Dave. Appreciate that. Okay, we've got Disney coming in from a few people. Yeah, so I think Disney has had its really cool run on it. For me, well, you all know I love Disney, yeah? I've loved Disney for a long time. I love Disney down here. I love Disney more down here. And I've been in Disney. But I will say, for me, I like the stock, but I'm kind of cool with where it went. And I'm kind of cool where, I'm dispersed, if you know what I mean. I think that the thing is that a lot of those announcements are cool and they will lead to Disney making lots of money and doing really well. But a lot of the time, Disney announces something, kind of hypes, sits around, does nothing for ages. So it depends how you want it in your portfolio. It has a tendency to move up off news and then just kind of do nothing for a bit. For me, I think it's kind of done its nice move and I like where it went, but I'm not super bullish on it at these prices. Definitely not. Now, from a TA perspective, what's happening just looks like consolidation. So all you want to do is you draw your kind of little support and you have to build, and you draw your resistance. You think about the psychological levels as well. So we've got a 170 here. You want to find probably a time frame where you can see there's more wicks and less bodies through the zone. So you can see up here, there's wicks at the 183. And then there's obviously only one body that's ever got through the 170. And that for me, then I start trapping it in this range. And all I do is I just draw rectangles on both sides, set alerts, and I'll only come back to the stock if it hits those alerts. So I don't have to keep looking at it all the time. But I definitely think that Disney did what I wanted it to do. They used their IP, they sold their souls. And for now, they need to do it. They need to actually build or make all of those shows and make some money. So for me, it's just going to be consolidation central for a while. Anyone see Netflix as well? You've been looking at Netflix. Netflix has been a pretty good stock. This is pretty cool. So we're obviously above this range right now. We've had this drawn for ages. We've basically been here for a very long time, looking at Netflix in the channel, looking at this 465, saying if it came down here, we're interested in buying. We're obviously interested in selling up here at the peak. We got that nice gap up though, where it went crazy and it busted through, and now it's coming back down to test this level. So this will be a very interesting point here for Netflix. If we get a new high, do we go the full completion of the range? That pushes it to 670 as a stock. Wow. So that will be a very interesting thing. I'm definitely looking at Netflix. We had a request for Facebook before. We'll check that one out. Facebook's looking pretty good. Nice support buying here off that antitrust kind of everything else problems. Good buying here at the 246, 245. Few people obviously were picking that up. Very nice move. This was only a few days ago as well. 14th of Jan. So not that long ago. Now it's moving up to the 280. 280 could be a little bit of resistance, and then you've got that just under 300. So there's not much much reward left, I guess, in Facebook before it faces adversity at the 300. Kind of in the middle of the zone for me. You'll notice I use 4-hour daily a hell of a lot as well. A lot of people ask me about that. Why do I use it? I just find that the daily is probably the best chart. If you're going to have one chart, definitely do it. Yeah, we definitely looked at GME, but we're always going to be watching this one today. 98. Oh, I'm very keen to see how this one opens. Is it open in the futures markets yet for me? It's not. Oh, man, it's tantalizing. You know it's not worth it, yeah? But you're scared of what is possible, because look at the power of these guys at Wall Street Bets. I mean, this stock is not worth $99, but it's just not. But they're just doing it. It's just crazy. Funny. $10 says, steer clear of GME. It's the hazard zone. It certainly is. It is literally, that is a casino. It's the casino stock right now. Definitely the casino stock. $10 wants Airbnb. All right. You know Sandollar. This is not one of my stocks because it doesn't have that history for us. But yep, it's looking good. It's going towards the resistance break here, Sandollar. Series of higher lows. Obviously, it's good. buying pressure looks good into the resistance. You got wicks here as well, little wick rejection. You know I like that. If it breaks up above, usually signals the buyers are in full commitment control. Stronger break, 200 psychological in its face, probably stops just before the 200 and finds some resistance selling. You'd want to focus on that, just set an alert above. But I like the little wick rejection here that's occurred, because if you get above that, you've got wick, little wick here on the candle, shows full commitment of the buyers. Remember, use these candles to help you identify, hey, what's going on there exactly in the market? What are the buyers and the seller dynamics really showing us? Mr. Submariner 76 says, don't do it, just FOMO. Hey, I say general advice only, educational advice only. We're just talking about TA here. Not talking about none of that GME. We definitely looked at NAB, Mr. Submariner, but Telstra is an interesting one as well. I think there's probably a little bit of TA to be learnt on Telstra. So for American and European viewers, again, this is Australian stock. You probably won't like this stock. It's in it's in telecommunications, and they're not the best company in the world, that's for sure, but they're the biggest in Australia. So we had here a few things going on with Telstra. We had obviously a low or a bottom out in November, and you can see here what's happened. It basically was a stock. There was the anti-market. So it went down heaps while everything else was going up. That's a bit, because it's basically a hedge usually. So usually when you see this kind of thing running, it's either because there's an earnings report coming up, which there is, and a dividend. That's kind of nice. But at the same time, you usually see it and utilities movement, which we'll be looking at in just a minute, before a market correction often happens. There's a bit of accumulation going on there. So nice little breakout here above the 320. For me, 320 break signals potentially up to the 340. And we get a 340 movement. It can do this even if the market's coming down. But yeah, definitely could come up to the 340. And then, of course, we'll have earnings and a potential dividend adjustment after that point. Nice little close up here, though, coming through. Jonathan says, GME is like Blockbuster for me, not worth paying attention to. It's not about whether we're paying attention to it too much there, Jonathan. It's just because we all know how it ends up. The question is, when does it end up like that? Few people want to look at NAB. Why is everyone loving NAB so much? Is it because you guys got it for $14 or something when you took the share offer up? All right, we'll look at the ASX 200 here as well, because I got asked that before and I don't think I did it. We'll just use this one. So 67.86. So you can see here, typical Monday, weird markets going on. So this actually broke above, and that was kind of signaling to us that we should see under 7,000 reached. We're obviously 100% reliant here in Australia on the US market continuing and not the tech sector. We don't have enough tech. We need the other sectors to be firing. So a 38.48 S&P isn't going to do it right now. But yes, resistances, we did close above. Things were looking promising, and you would think that this would signal the further buying pressure. Most technicals, you would think that's what's happening. So there's not much to mention here other than it broke through, and you would think it goes this distance. I just hate going into Feb with it. I really hate going into Feb with it, with a bullish break like this. But technically, that's what's been doing. This one was much easier. It was off stimulus as well. As soon as it got higher than this, you just go bang. All right, it's in. Julio says, I've got my life savings on Apple calls. Let me know if I stuffed up. Well, that's all on you, man. Good luck. I hope you have good luck. All right, let's go over to our analysis of some interesting things here. Let's just quickly load up this. So we've got here the QuayFin. We're going to have a quick look at some markets. So we'll load this up quickly. We'll do the 5-day markets, and then we'll do some others. So you can see here the outperformance of the Nasdaq, 3.63% over this period. Go 10 days just to show again how well it's been going. This is broken for some reason. Why have we got a broken? Oh, no, that's actually what happened. Yeah, so basically we've got an outperformance of the Nasdaq versus the S&P, and the Dow is just really struggling with its openings there. If we go to, where are we? We're going to go to the sector charts here. So we've got most of our sectors up. We've got the consumer discretionary, staple, everything like that. Obviously, we still know energy's been the outperformer. We knew it would be because it was this time for the recovery. Financials and energy should have been good. We've got the utilities now sitting around flat for the month. So the utilities are kind of really starting to struggle. Let's look at 3-month returns here on the sectors. XLE again, good work to everyone, by the way. We crapped on about it here. We crapped on about it here. And it's been very glorious to us. But basically, I'm kind of done in this sector, I think, for now. The energy sector is, it's done its thing for me. Could go better, but I think that's pretty sweet. You can see the financials. We know, actually, when that started happening, let's have a look here. Statistically, it should be 3 to 6 months. So when did this happen? So it was all on October. So there actually should be, we're just hitting the 3rd month. So there should be another 3 months left of outperformance by the value sector. The two value sectors being the financial sector and the energy sector. So there could be further run-ups here, but generally it's 3 to 6 months. When they start going, they run for that period. So for me, been pretty good run. I liked what I saw. Now we're starting to say, okay, if we see more pickup in the utility sector, what happened last time with the utility sector? When did it start running? When did it have that good time? So let's just get rid of a few of these. Let's get rid of real estate. Let's get rid of communications. Keep healthcare in there. Get rid of tech. Get rid of these two. So, September 23, we start to see utilities turning around. And it turned around all the way up until about this point. We had a good run in it. Then we had the runs come through from all the other sectors, and now it's cooling off a little bit here on all those other sectors. So what might happen again is we might see coming out of maybe another correction, maybe potentially a little bit of a pickup in utilities through that correction period. And then that will be probably the rotation that we want to look into. But I like to look at these things and always think about the sectors and the rotations and stuff, because sometimes what you'll notice is it consolidates for a lot. So I might like a sector. So for me, my sector I really liked recently was healthcare. I liked it a lot. And the reason I liked it a lot is it had that spike up, did nothing. To me, this did nothing really. I mean, the difference between here and here was only 5%. It's nothing for healthcare. Then you'll notice it bottomed out here, started consolidating, and then broke out. Series of higher lows coming into the entire sector. That was a very nice little pull up there that was going to occur. Very bullish on that kind of thing. So I liked the sector analysis here. Whenever you see an entire sector doing this, where it basically consolidates, when it does the breakout of that consolidation, you look for the quality and you take the quality. Well worthwhile if you don't do it right now. Look at your sectors, just line chart it, candle chart it, whatever, and then break it down. Consumer staples, you can see here was a bit overbought. Coming down, not doing so well at the moment. Probably comes down more to this level here. Previous buying pressure came through there. Start looking at your favorite consumer staples potentially. Discretionary keeps going up, so maybe not interested in that right now. Industrials, one that's been hovering for a while, breaks out to a new high. Potentially you can start looking at it. It's basically consolidating right now. Always worthwhile checking those out. DAX is down 1.75, Mark Lynn says. Okay, let's have a quick look at this. So we'll go to the future screener. Usually we start the session talking about this. Future screener here. So we've got DAX down 1.52. Euro stocks down 1.2. The only real market at the moment up is the Nasdaq. Pretty much the market we care about the most, I guess. But depends what you're in. And then we've got the Russell also faltering. So the S&P is literally just being held by the Nasdaq stocks. VIX also spiking slightly here to 25. So I'd have to do a little bit of reading, but I assume this is just off generalized concerns. Remember, whatever you really get told, most of the time it's just an excuse. They're not really the reason it goes down. And always remember this about the news, guys. When you read something, remember last week, you probably read something and you probably came into a comment section. A few people do this to me all the time. They said, the market went down because vaccine problems or something. It's an excuse for them to do it. There's always another little thing. And look how short-lived half of these ones are. You got to cut through that and realize what are the big major problems. For me, it's always this is my number one. All I really care about is the government. And why do I care about them? Tax. I care a lot about that. I also care about central banks. And then I care about, again, the government into spending policies. When you think about the market this way, and you think about everything back to pretty much this and this, it becomes simpler. All we really care about is this. This with the spending incentives. Like right now, why is the electricity industry so big? Innovation, potential, taxation, lots and lots of sweet taxation benefits. So these are some of the things that I think about a lot. I don't really like the news, but I like this. So do I read the Reserve Bank of Australia's report every month? Yeah, I do. Is it boring? It's basically copy pasta. They just put the same thing in each month, but then they change a word or they do a slight thing. What does the Reserve Bank of Australia's thing do? I will say this to Australians. What do we think the Reserve Bank is all about? If we really cut through it, do they care that much about things? What are they supporting? For Australians out here, what does the Reserve Bank of Australia care about? Particular instrument they care about. What would you say is their main policy that seems to always be there if you really cut through it? And then, of course, we have the Fed. What is their main policy? And I've said this a few times on the channel, but I haven't brought it up recently. I'll leave this just for a minute, and we'll just quickly talk about some of these other things that are coming up here. So we've got, obviously, some other stuff going on. I've noticed that we've got some big movements coming through here on some of these pairs, like live cattle started to sort of run, feeder cattle, etc. Also, where's coffee? Yeah, even coffee's gone up a little bit. A lot of people saying jobs, interest rates. Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, they all care about jobs, interest rates. But what you'll see is a lot of the Reserve Bank, they actually half the time support the property price. They love the property in Australia. A lot, like they're meant to be there, like the jobs and this and that and blah, blah. But a lot of their strategies end up pretty much supporting property. The Fed, however, yes, it's all about jobs and everything. But what do the Fed support? The stock market. They love the stock market. It's bizarre. It's like central bank policies love certain things. The Reserve Bank love property. The Fed love the stock market. They don't really care about property. A few people got it right. Pete Z, that's right. Property. Yes. So we all learn, of course, inflation, government debt, jobs, all these things. But yeah, that's the, generally speaking, if you realize where all that government money flow and all those central bank policies and everything goes towards, again, comes down to tax. In Australia, we have property pro-tax. In America, you have stock market pro-tax. Always worthwhile knowing that. Kunal says, honestly, we could use a property crash here. I'm not sure if you in Australia, Kunal? We do not want a property crash. A lot of people think they want it. You do not want it. It's so bad. We're built too much on it. If we had a crash, it would destroy us. GME on another run. Let me look. It's a terrifying stock. 102.40. Oh my God, 58%. Off 58%. Oh, the short sellers. What was it? It's like lemon something. What's the company that does it? There's a short selling company right now that's doing it. Poor people. Short selling this thing is just terrifying. Oh, Canberra. Yeah, Canberra's running quite a lot. You don't have actually super pro tax on property as much as the other states do. Takula says Fed's mandate is just inflation and jobs. Yeah, that's true. But if you think about the Fed coupled with the government, remember, the country has always supported the stock market heavily. When the subprime happened, what did they support? They went and supported, they support the subprime a little bit, but it was actually a lot about stocks. All asset prices going crazy? Absolutely. Antonio says, Tom, great point. The Aussie banks are 75% exposed to real estate. Every single state in Australia is exposed to real estate. Look at the earnings follow the money, the little trail of money that goes through all these governments. And you'll just see, in America, land tax, cool system. In Australia, stupid tax, where we pay stamp. Again, it's in a property stream, but basically the way that it works is if they earn 30% of all of their money for the year, and it all comes from stamp duty on property, they're going to be pro-property. The higher the property price, the more money they make as a government, the whole state. So it's definitely a big thing. All right, so GME here, 103, still having its run. Continue to inform me there. We got Bitcoin going up again. Let's see if we can get that 35,000 during today's stream. Obviously, this has triggered some buying pressure coming through on Bitcoin. Nice break above those resistances came through. Look at Tesla. We haven't looked at Tesla. Tesla doing an 856. It's been a very nice run here through Tesla. Got supports coming through here on the 50 the whole way up. Obviously, that was quite a while ago now. Let's go into the smaller time frames here. Have a look at what Tesla's been doing. We'll need to go 1 hour, I think. So Tesla is doing a bit of consolidation. Couple of things I noticed straight away. Low. This low is, of course, higher than the previous low. Yeah, that's easy to see. We also have a higher than previous low. However, equal kind of resistances coming through. So I think it's fair to think, if you're a bit of a Tesla trader, you start thinking, okay, well, we can maybe put a trend line through the bottom here. And we've certainly got a very strong, whoops, let me get rid of that line. We've certainly got a very strong horizontal line coming through here as well. So very nice horizontal line. Could break. If it does, that's going to signal an all-time high most likely, because you're going to take the range from here to here and extrapolate that out. Let's do that one now. The reason I'm doing this is because there's quite a lot of resistance that pretty much pops it into 900, which makes sense because Tesla likes those kind of levels. I like how it stops at 88 as well. Lucky number. The 880. Citron Research, says Curious Cyclist. Oh man, those poor people. What are they saying? What? Tesla screaming bull flag. So it's definitely screaming. I would say probably this more than anything else. What flag are you talking about in terms of time frame? Be careful with flags, because the nature of a flag. Remember, this is more like a pennant if you want to go with anything, because you've got your resistances through here, and then you've got obviously your supports coming through. They do the same thing, so you'll be correct. So if you want to say that's what it is, then yeah. I liked it more just from the horizontal because there was so much resistance through here. There's more peaks. But yes, with the pennant now, if that was true, let's say this was pennanting after all of this. Oh, wow. I mean, we know that a break of this should be like that distance. That would be crazy. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, if that was the true technical that you were looking at there, you got to have the love for $1,000 for Tesla. Because that's what you're saying is pennant. Now, think about flags. Here's just a bit of a thing that I always say. Flags, obviously, the idea is it looks like this. It's a pullback after a movement up. Actually, let me just get rid of those lines. I'll draw it a bit better. Okay. All right, so we've got a movement up. We've got a movement down. Should look like this. And remember, if we can fly the flag, if the flag's flying in the wind, it's a good flag. So it shouldn't really come back down under 38.2 to 50% FIP. Never under that. Otherwise, if you get a flag that's too long down, it can't fly in the wind and it's showing you a weakness in the market. Now, the key to a flag is that it should look like this. It should be a pullback with a series of lower highs on the way back down and a series of course, lower lows. And the sequence is broken because it breaks to a new high, snaps off the top, and that's what you're looking for. But always remember, when you're looking at a flag pattern, does it fly in the wind? If it doesn't fly in the wind and you thought, oh, I put this one up, it doesn't fly, that's a crap flag. Don't use that one. Pavel says 1 million people on Mars by 2050, Tesla to Mars. Well, there we go. We've got our Tesla to Mars extrapolation out here. But yeah, a pennant, that's what it looks like there. I like the horizontal resistance though at 860 quite a lot. Which I wouldn't mind looking at this one again. Zoom. Now this stock was all the hype. Does everyone remember? I remember we had a lot of people in the community. We were coming in here back last year when we were doing these every single week, which by the way, we are doing again. So every Monday we're doing these things from now on. Please remember to subscribe. Give us a big thumbs up if you enjoy what we're doing here. Really helps me out. And I definitely want to do as many of these as possible. So we got the Zoom stock here. The Zoom stock went mental. It's pulled back some. Now, I like something they're doing at the moment. I noticed they were advertising a lot. Spotify spam me with ads. So I bought the premium because it was pissing me off. But basically on Spotify, they had they've obviously advertising this idea of bringing all the phone business connection together. Quite like that concept. But let's think about this from a technical level. So we're getting up here at the 380 kind of area. There's obviously some consolidation that's gone through there. Let's get our trend line ready here on Zoom as well. So I definitely think there's some kind of trend resistance that it's broken through recently. I feel like it's kind of trying to get up there. Things are looking good. We also need to remember that there was a lot of people piling into this stock over here. In fact, there was a lot of businesses piling into the stock over here. Bigger traders were piling in and putting their connections in there. So it's doing interesting things. And I think it's at a very big point for you to kind of say, okay, this was maybe a little double bottom. We've broken through. We've started changing things that are looking on here. And I certainly think that it could be going quite bullish. I don't know if I'd be shorting this one right now. If you're looking at shorts, you'd have to go under here. Dr. Horton says, where's Dr. Copper? It's a good point, Dr. Horton. So 167, by the way, for Dr. Copper. Why put in Doc? I was about to put in Dr. Copper then. So the reason we're not using copper at the moment, Dr. Horton, is because it's not giving us any bearish signals. The thing with copper is it shows us whether the economy recovery is strong or not. Remember, it's a precursor only. So I'm only going to use copper if it's going to show us any weakness. I'm super bullish copper. We all know this. I love the copper. I love the copper. I like the silver. I like the iron ore. Specifically love the iron ore. But everything's looking pretty good. The thing with copper, though, is it's all about recovery. So we haven't had any stumblings, I think, in copper. It's just been strongly going up. Remember, you use copper to precursor recovery or failure. It actually went, and the reason we use this, think about it this way. This is a precursor. Look at this. 15th of Jan, around that point, 2020, we learnt about the virus. We learnt things were happening. Copper got nailed because, of course, of its exposure to China. Now, in this case, and demand there, it got nailed before the rest of the market went, and then it went with the rest of the market, and the turnaround started at the same time. When you see sometimes copper can be the precursor, if copper fails to make, it starts to kind of come lower and bails and starts to make new lows and starts crashing, and the market's not crashing, be concerned. We definitely will use that. But at this stage, there's just no point putting it on the charts because it's just holding above the 20 and constantly kind of consolidating up. What's everyone's thoughts on genomics? Do we like genomics? We think that's a good little area. I'm just going to pour some water. One sec, guys. Eggsy says Kathy Wood just sold 136 million of Tesla profit taking. So is it profit taking, or is it she has to get her fund back under 10%? Remember, she's mandated to only hold a certain percentage. She would have gone over, I think. Matthew says, have we talked about the pennant forming on Amazon? No, we haven't. Let's have a look at that. Oh, yeah. Fair enough. I see it straight away, what you're talking about. There definitely is some interesting consolidation here. So basically, we've got points coming through there. Points going through here. We're right at it right now. What are we? 332, or just above. Okay. Yes. Not bad. I usually like these as longer term kind of stuff, but Amazon, wow. It's big calls, isn't it? 4,800. It's been consolidating for a while for this stock, for sure. They are the owners of the world. Yeah, that's fair enough. It's a good pennant. Well done, Matthew. I like the resistance breaking here that's coming through as well. Might be some failure here, I think, in terms of consolidation. But yeah, that's a nice... if you see that pennant, generally, yes, that's pretty good. Reminds me of like a pennant I traded a long time ago. I've told a few people about this. I'm sure you're all aware of it. Go back through weekly. This is one of my favorite trades. US dollar yen. Stock this for a while. Central bank policy. Once they start, they can't stop. Thank you, Abe, and all of the other people. Nice pennant here. You can see how clean that was. Big length. You took the whole length because you didn't really have a breakout line. And you'll notice here, check this out. Bang. Look at that. Whew. That's perfect. I like that one. Took a while, but it was pretty easy because what you can do with whenever you're looking at these, easy way to do it, guys. You get your cross and you basically draw out how long it took. So how many weeks did this take? Times that number by about 1.5 to 2, and that's the distance or the time that you should be in the trade for. So when you're looking at a pennant, take the pole of the pennant or the pole of the flag, times the number by 2, and it gives you the timing. That's helpful for options traders. That's helpful for people that want to have confidence in their trade, and also just to recognize when something's not working technically. Like say that Amazon one. You take the time, you take the distance. How long did it take to get up there with the pole? If it breaks and then you want to be in it, times it by 2, work it out, and at least that gives you a time frame. But you can see that when you correctly identify a lot of these, especially when, oh, this was so good, and central bank policy was with you, beautiful move. Pavel says, my target for Amazon is 4,000. Probably a bit pessimistic. Yeah, well, I mean, that's pretty much calling even higher. I think if we go to the earnings report, or sorry, the calls on Amazon, remember with a stock like this, it does matter when they do all these little upgrades and stuff. There's actually a lot of calls that are really high right now. Now, these guys don't really call things by, how they work. But it's interesting. These calls were from quite some time ago. And Amazon's been chilling. So I think it's a very interesting play there. We've got some other stocks that have gone very high. I mean, obviously the market cap is huge already. But yeah, there's a lot of calls here for the 4,000. And this is a January reiterated by Credit Suisse. People off, that's actually up. Interesting. $10.77 coming in with US $4 for another coffee. Thanks so much for the support there, man. Thanks so much also for everyone that's been joining the trading community. We're definitely, as I said before, working on some custom stuff. Hopefully I'll have them next week for you guys. So you get new custom emotes, new badges, everything like that. It'd be awesome. Alberlo says, Amazon is exactly like Tesla. What do you mean by that one? Is it a game changer or... it just continues to go up over time, or what do you mean? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks very much again, Sandola. Antonio says, "Hey Tom, can you have a look at ASML, Big Dutch Semiconductor?" Sure, we'll have a check out that. PLTR. Akarat says, FANG stocks are showing strong price action, will push up S&P. Well, it's certainly the thing that's driving the S&P, but it might be similar to what we saw last time, where the Australian market, the FTSE, the DAX, the Euro stocks, all these markets that don't have as much tech in them will kind of be lagging. Let's have a quick look at the US 500 right now, 38.42. US 100, as in Nasdaq, is trading up 1% now, 13,500. MKD as well. All right, I got to write some of these down, guys. I've got to check these out. All right, let's have a look at ASML first. Then we'll check out some of these other ones I've saw. I guess it's this one. It's doing sweet, and it's complete and utter bull trend here. Let's go to the daily. I mean, it's just in a full breakout, just full bullish momentum, isn't it? With these ones, all you can really do is just go down to a time frame where it's been hitting a moving average, like I always say, and just look at something like the 20 here on the 2 hour. It's found support off it a bunch. It's coming down to that 20. It's been pretty consistent with buying through that 20. And that's really all you can do here. If you're looking for when's it going to break through to a downtrend, well, even if it got through the 20 down here, that's not going to be enough. So it's looking pretty bullish. I mean, if you're waiting for a breakout, then you just got to, maybe it consolidates here for a little while. When it breaks through this resistance, it'll most likely smash 480 because it'll be hovering for a little while. Breaks through, you can take it to the long, take the channel range. But if you're looking at investment, I mean, at this stage, it's just continuously to hover around that 20. Good stock though. I'm sure it's doing well. I'm sure the fundamentals are really good. PLTR. Nice breakout coming through here. Let's go to the daily. Nice consolidation. Really strong breakout. Shim its earnings. That's the only thing that could push it like that. Nice. Package software. Might do some research on this sometime. What is this one? PLTR. Okay. Just putting it in here. American software company specializes in big data analytics. I don't trade this stock. Okay, cool. Looking good though. New breakout. Strong, probably has a rest after coming through, might hit 36, comes back down, finds the previous resistance as support most likely, and then you'll probably see a bigger pickup. Nice coil consolidation though. Very good. I've got MKD as well to look at. It's a crazy stock. That's all I can say here. Probably a filing came out for this one, it looks like. Very nice. Another thing also on GameStop I noticed, I was looking at the filings, whole bunch of, how good would it be to be a CEO of GameStop right now? Yes, I would be so happy. I'd be like, sell portions as it's going up. It's like literally the after Christmas gift. So this stock here is just in a massive breakout today. I'm not sure if it can hold that kind of breakout. Not much history on it either. So this one here looks great from a daily occurrence, and it held the body, which is important. But there's not much technicals here for you with this kind of data. I mean, that is a fundamental and a fundamental only. You know, though, that the resistance of this $1.50 has held it. So it spiked above that before and then failed. Spiked, failed. If it did fail again, it's probably going to come down to this 110 and consolidate. That's all you can see here in terms of the history. That's fair enough, Hussein. So PLTR has lots of government contracts and Wall Street bets fans. So win, win, win. I'm actually in it for the long term. Yet there's nothing wrong with that. Well, let's have a quick look and see what even just the standard thing is here. So PLTR, plain tear. Nice. I love it's very good that you got this. Okay, so in terms of these updates, some of these are fairly new. Not big calls on them though, in terms of where it is. But I think government contracts are very important. So if it has strong contracts and it has strong growth curves and you understand it well, then it looks good. But the TA basically break out, possibly pull back a little bit and then maybe move on. But if Wall Street bets are on it, you never know, hey. Could become a GameStop. And Dr. Horton says, passed by a GME sign, GME today or soon. Sign on the door allowed 6 customers in the store, time bearish. I'm surprised they had 6 customers in the store, Dr. Horton. Krunal wants me to look at Bank Nifty. This Bank Nifty, the Index Nifty, yeah? Nifty 50, yeah? Or Nifty Bank. I assume it's just Nifty. Oh, okay, so we're starting to see a little bit of bearishness here. This is the first time that we've looked at Bank Nifty and we've said, okay, there's some pressure here. Oh, sorry, Nifty. So this index is showing signs of correction, but we're not there yet. And this possibly is what we end up seeing in the American market at some point. So we have a high, a little bit of extra high, just under the 14.8. We know the 50 last time when it pulled back was a good buy zone. So we're hitting that right now. What happens though if we close underneath the 50? I think it's pretty significant here on the 4 hour because we're basically double topping. Intervening trough, close under here would signal, of course, further bearish pressure, and that bearish pressure would be just like any other market. Doesn't matter if it's the American market, Nifty, whatever it is, that kind of range there. Back into the previous resistances acting as supports. Then we'd want to go to a daily, see if we can find a reason for that as well. There's a 50 exponential there. Cool. We know that found support during the November pullback as well. This is a pretty epic run as well. You know, we talk about the US market. This went from 7.6, similar to the Nasdaq. This is actually done better than the Nasdaq. Cool. That's awesome. That's government stimulus going well. But yeah, this is showing signs of very important level there. Very important. We did look at AMD a little bit a while ago, Karina. I think if you go to the first hour, around that point, we definitely looked at AMD. Joseph says, great stuff, Tom. Thank you from Georgia, US. Thank you very much, Joseph. I hope to visit, actually, over in the US. If we get maybe within a year or something, we'll be able to fly again. And I definitely would like to do a couple of meet and greets as well as we grow the community. I think that'd be cool. I'll definitely be on the screen as well. I'll cam up and stuff in a few months. So we'll set that. It's definitely a promise to you guys. I'll get that done. Antonio got me. He goes, Bitcoin just fell 25%. And I was like, damn, I have to go look at that, but it's not true. I knew because you said it was a bait. But yeah, no, we're still moving up towards that 35,000 during this session. Let's see if we can get there. Dave G says, Eggsy, the VIX is ranging and not looking like a breakout soon. Well, the thing with the VIX is it can happen at any time. So all we say on the VIX here, and the reason I haven't put it in much analysis, is it's crappy and boring right now. Yeah, like what is this telling us? I mean, the VIX is above 20. That means anything can happen. Remember, if you go back through history, VIX above 20 is not normal, guys. Look how many times it goes above 20. Not that often, usually during a massive, like, little bit of a correction phase. We've held above 20 this entire crisis. Obviously hit peaks that I'd never even seen before. But the VIX above 20 is the key line. Under 20, we're in some kind of normalized market. Over 20, we're not. I don't think there's too much TA here. I had a bit of a fight about a guy. I had a fight with some guy about this TAing up the VIX. I don't never fall into the trap of thinking I'm going to buy the VIX and it's going to be a great trade. Because if anyone here has held the VIX, and I'm sure a few of you have, has anyone here held the VIX before and got burnt by it? Unfortunately, when you hold the VIX, it costs a lot of money. So you think, oh, I buy at 20, it goes up, I make money, blah, blah. Yeah, if you get the timing perfect. But when those contracts roll, whew, it's expensive. So the VIX above 23.4 here, it's not really telling me much. I think above 26.5, I'll be paying more attention. I set alert above 26.5. Pavel says, KO looking interesting. We'll definitely check that out. Got here 12:57, so we're looking at only 30 something minutes before we can get this open coming on. Let's have a look at the Webull charts here in the pre-market. So we'll have a look at the sellers. We've got here travelers down 7.29%. Guess it brings me to a little bit of a warning. People are thinking that there's going to be a recovery in a lot of these travel software, a lot of travel stuff. It is long away. No matter if you look at like the way they're vaccinating. Let's say they're doing 1 million in the US. Okay, Australia, we'll call it 0 or very close to, basically nothing. It's going to take so long that you're going to look at least 12 to 18 months to get this thing done. I think the market thinks it's going to happen in 6. I just don't believe it's going to be 6. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that is definitely a concern for some of these travel stocks. The market is finicky. It doesn't like waiting around. So we had there a couple of things in the pre-market down. Let's just quickly again. PNC, Hershey, McDonald's down a little bit. Nothing too much down there. And then, of course, the winners, we looked at those before. Roku's definitely gone nuts. This stock makes kind of not too much sense to me. But at 422, I remember it was 130. I've never owned this stock, but kind of wish I did, I guess. Everything else, nothing too much coming through here, I don't think. Snowflake. Ooh, we're going to keep checking on Snowflake over time. Siddharth says, hodl the VIX. Oh, no. No, don't do that, Siddharth. David says, can we look at CLI? Yeah, we can do that. I just want to have a look at KO quickly. So Coke really struggling under the current conditions. Let's have a quick look here. They did kind of fix their business a little bit. Starting to get kind of interested in Coke. We talked about it. I was interested around 50 as well. Definitely worthwhile nibbling it. These are old school, of course, businesses. A bit of an archaic dog in some ways, this thing. But yeah, definitely this 48 has me interested as well. If we keep seeing declining pressure here on Coke, especially if we do get a pullback in Feb, I think there could be some good pressure here. Remember, the longer the economy is closed, the more Coke will suffer, or partially closed around the world. It's not ideal for that, but it actually does usually do okay in relatively high unemployment markets. Now, where was David's question? You want to look at CL. Is this it? David, can you let me know if that's it? I'm going to leave it there. Oh, Baba. Yeah. He came back. He came back, guys. We found him. That was crazy, wasn't it? You basically just had Jack Ma risk for some reason. So when Jack Ma was hidden away, Baba actually came back down to our 220. That was really nice. Great level. A few people picking it up there. Obviously, you've always got the China kind of risk, but they also can't be seen to stuff over companies too much. They can put pressure on them, but they can't stuff them over too much. It's basically back at resistance now. So we can see here, previous supports acting as a bit of resistance. There still is risk. There was that little bit of hype after they found Jack Ma again. And then now we've kind of probably seeing a little bit of a pullback. If you're looking at buy zones, probably things like 240, previous supports, previous resistances, dial into the smaller time frames, market structure all over there. But yeah, we're at the resistance right now. 2.264.95. All of this level here probably a pullback is due, maybe to 240. That's it, David? Okay. Wow. All right. So this stock, it's up 65%. I hope you're on it. It's not very easy to look at there, this one, David, because basically we've got a little bit of an IPO. It looks like this is IPO, if this is what it is. And then it's gone really crazy. Big volume. We don't know anything about the history of this. So from a technical perspective, it's all really about the fundamentals, what you believe it's worth, doing the numbers on it. Very tough to know what's going to happen after this. We have no history to go off, how it reacts to those kind of bits of information. So sorry I can't be more of help, but that is the way. New EV merger. Oh, okay. So that would probably be why it's just gone like this. I think you'd need to see more history of it. What do I think of Afterpay? Oh, Afterpay, if you want, yeah. I think it's cool that it's done so well, and we've got a technology company. I think there are technicals. You can see here what we've drawn up as a community. We had this nice little range. We obviously picked the pullback kind of zone to the 105. 50 as well has been a good buy zone. So this has definitely been an area that's been very good. And the 50 will continue to be a good buy zone, I guess, until it's broken down below. So Afterpay is trading technically. It's trading very nicely technically. I think I specifically like this. This pickup is beautiful. I would snapshot that kind of pickup because it happens all the time. Very nice little range here. Into a break, into a retest, off a moving average. Slingshots up. Nice. In terms of the company itself, look, I'm not a believer. It's just a credit card, in my opinion, that's made easy for people to understand. It's the same kind of concept, really, in many ways. But I just don't think, I think for me, when I'm investing in a company, I like big moat. If you have a big moat, as in it's hard to get into the business and your competitive advantage is huge, then you win. You know, Tesla has a pretty big moat. Very tough to touch them. That's why, you know, they do well. If you buy quality, you generally do quite well. If you think about other things that have big moats, Disney has a massive moat. It's hard to compete with them. So they do well. Microsoft, huge moat. I like big moat. I just don't feel like this company has a huge moat, but it does have good contracts. Few people will probably disagree with me on that. But look, technically, great. We've got 26 minutes off the open. Is anyone hyped for the open today? Let's go back over to the markets. Let's go back over to where's our futures here. Click on the futures. So it's interesting things. We're seeing a tale of two stories. Technology in the US, earnings week, very cool. Then we've got Euro stocks, DAX underperforming here, slight increase in the VIX. And then of course, we've also got some movements up in our favorites, gold and silver. So it's a weird thing. We've got US dollar relatively stable. We have gold and silver moving up. We have the VIX going up, markets going down, technology going up. What? A few things there not correlating together very well. $36.90 amazing moat. I love moats. So if it's got an amazing moat, that's good, Raphael. Look, I must admit, I don't know that particular thing too much. I'd probably butcher the name. Meduan Dianpin? 100 bagger, this is being said here. So we'll load it up onto the chart. So his actual ticker code's 3690, is it? Okay. So it's, yeah, definitely gone up a lot. Go to the weekly. Pretty much vertical. Hit the 20, so it had its pullback recently, so it's on for its next run. Cool. I mean, I don't know anything about this, but definitely moving very, very well. Nice pullback. That's the kind of thing you want to see in pullbacks. Get it back into the 20 on the weekly. You'll notice I go to weekly a lot. Weekly 20 is a good pullback kind of zone. for markets. In big corrective phases, that's what you're looking for. It's what you're looking for in the S&P as well. Let's go to the weekly here. Notice quite far away from it. And notice a few things here, guys. Recently, 20, 20, 20, 20 question mark. Absolutely. 20 is a good one. If you want to remember that, 20 exponential moving average on the weekly. Siddharth Morley coming in with $2 with a sticker. Thank you very much, Siddharth. We're going to make it to the open today, guys. And you know what happens on Monday opens when we're doing the streams? Usually actually the market's selling off into it. And then in the first hour happens and then it recovers. So we'll have to look. David Franklin says, do you use GoToMeeting or Zoom? I actually use GoToMeeting. But I'm a dinosaur, David. I use GoToMeeting. Now, the reason I use it is because we do webinars every week and we do meetings and I slide them all in. But I already purchased it because I need the webinars. I don't like Zoom's webinar. I don't like GoToMeeting though. It's bad. Oh, is it? 36.90 is the largest. I've heard of it before, but I don't know about it. Yeah, I've traded Tencent and an Alibaba, but yeah, never 36.90. Oh, okay. Thanks, man. So you learn something new every day in trading. Like, I mean, obviously it's not, I probably own parts of it through indices, but when it goes to come to markets like China and stuff, I usually just go with certain sectors. I buy the whole sector. So I've been buying tech sector in China market. I always like that. I've liked any market there. The government money is really. And I've stayed the hell away from banks there. I do not buy any of the banks. No banks. Plays for Monday. For me, I'm kind of still looking at gold and silver, I think. I think I'm looking at commodities a little bit this week. Pretty interested into getting into some of these. Definitely looking at CRM. We mentioned that before. We saw the Bitcoin kind of trade come through here as well on its way to the 35,000. This is a pretty significant break that happened. So it was certainly a interesting little play there. Didn't get the pullback, but you know, that's the typical thing about Bitcoin. When it breaks through, it continues its little run up. You need to understand the instrument. Every time Bitcoin breaks, and it breaks hard and closes above pretty easily, it tends to, like here, there's the break, no pullback, full steam ahead. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to hit this 35,000 during this session, as I said before. By the way, the chat's been great today. Yeah, we did look at NeoJB. Thanks so much for all of these questions coming through. And thanks so much for the support. Anyone that's been subscribing as well, appreciate that greatly. Give us a like if you enjoy it as well. And if anyone is good at the old graphics design stuff, could have a job for someone. So yeah, message through if you're interested in doing something for us. GME volume is spiking, Sandal. I'm loving the GME. But yeah, to do with plays, I'm looking at gold, silver, Bitcoin, stock-wise. Still looking at CRM. Don't know why, I'm just looking at it. I'm going to follow the old GME. But I don't have any specific thing that I'm looking at going, I want to trade this today or something right now. So we've got 101 trading on the GameStop. I wonder if the short pressure will just become so extreme on this stock. I really want to see how this plays out. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that one plays out. Something interesting. Roku? Yeah, sure. Let's have a look at Roku. So we're now only 20 minutes away, I believe. This has been good. It's been a very good stock. Obviously, just sitting on this, I'd still go. It's probably not the 20, but recently it was the 20. So I'd probably just be looking at 20 pick pullbacks. Any 20 pullbacks, kind of like a reload zone. Everything it's in uncharted territory. So you're starting to say, okay, well, do we have like some kind of extension that we can see? Some people use fib extensions. The problem with the fib extension this time round, where is it? Here we go. So if you use a fib extension, the problem is the pullback's always going to be into the March lows. So if you're taking that fib extension, usually you want to see if the market's been respecting it. So the 1618 fib extension, there was a little bit of resistance around there and it found some pressure. Then you got the 2618, you've got some pressure. Now, do we go to the full extension of a 4236? They'd put it at 566. I like fib extensions, but I like them when they have normal pullbacks, normal corrections, not freak connections like what happened here. Things are looking good. Basically, just continue following it by the moving averages. Things like 20s. Obviously, a break under the 50 would be worrying, or something like this. That kind of signal where you had a peak, trough, lower peak, formed a lower trough on a significant time frame. When that happens, not so good. What's that, Siddharth? Siddharth says, my CV has proficiency in MS Paint. I like it how people still write, I'm good with Word and PowerPoint. Okay. What does that mean exactly? GME has drawn some very unwanted attention and the SCC posse is on a mission. TSM, says Crow. Okay, TSM. Oh, there was a semiconductor I missed before, wasn't there? Or was it just going vertical? There was another semiconductor. Manufacturing company, it's always usually pretty good. Things just very bullish here. Again, well done if you got on this one. Very nice trend. You can see here the trend's so extended though. Just like anything else, you want to come and find a moving average that's been holding. This one's actually holding a very short time frame one. Looks like it's holding something around the 4 hour recently, 4 hour 20. 4 hour 20, got a little bit of a pullback here. If you're interested in that kind of pullback, $10, possibly that's your action. You'll notice I just went through time frames there just to find something that's got the 1, 2, 3. So we've got the 1, the 2, the 3, kind of the 4 here. So until that sequence breaks, that's really what you're looking at in TA here. Again, extensions, everything like that. In normal times, you will use slightly different techniques. But right now, we're in hyper markets. Hyper markets need these types of things. Pavel says, was up TSM to 119. 119. Yeah, I can see why you were probably around this level. You did very well anyway, Pavel. Well done. A few people asking. I've got a question here. SPAC. Like this? Not sure what we're talking about. Oh, SPAC is in. Oh, okay, I know what you mean. The section. Got to give me some slack here. It's 1:14 in the morning. So let's go back to Webull here. Pre-market again. 1.84% down. What is that? PNC, JP Morgan, a little bit of bank pressure that'll push down something like the Australian index a little bit if the banks do get hit today. Nothing really to stand out here again for the American market. It's been more the European market that's showing weakness. And again, we'll go over to the earnings. Let's have a look at these earnings seasons. So this week, what have we had today? Bit of nothingness, yeah? But Monday's kind of boring here, but Tuesday starts to get heating up. We've got AMD coming into possibly a break of 100. We've got Microsoft, Texas Instruments, a whole bunch of these companies. We've got Starbucks, Johnson & Johnson as well. And then, of course, we've got some big heavy hitters. Wednesday is the day I'm looking at. After close, Apple, Tesla, Facebook, very important day. Something I'll certainly be looking at, making videos. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely come check out the videos we prepare for the community and talk about all over the time. No worries, Chris. Always happy to help, man. few people saying about trends and money movements. Yeah, you always want to follow just basically what the money's doing. Try to knock out, again, the news. Try to knock out too much about what's happening there. You'll often get quite confused. And then, unfortunately, what happens, you're not following the trend. So, yeah, certainly is something. Again, the big things I follow in investment, I'm always following the government, taxation, policies, that kind of thing. When it happens, usually they stick around and it flows through for some time. Always worthwhile doing. So we're only 13 minutes away here now, so we're getting pretty much down to the wire. We'll go back over some of the key things we talked about today. So we talked about gold. We haven't really gone back over that for a few hours now. Gold, we've got that kind of test of the 1862. We know this level is important. We know this level is trying to be bulled up against. If it can continue to move up here, I'm very, very happy. Obviously, a break of 1874, any close above that should trigger into 1900. Previous resistance is strong at 1900, so it looks something like this. If we get up here, I think as soon as we get through that high there, we're going to be triggering up to 1900. 900 resistance. We get through 1900. People at Warwick, I'm pretty sure he's not here right now, but he'll be loving it if we get to the 1960. And very similar kind of textbook plays as last time. When we called that 1900, we spoke about on the channel, and we got that 1960 right as well. I think the same kind of things playing out there. Depends a lot on US dollar, and we've got that FOMC later on this week. Silver, similar kind of thing. Look more to gold as your trigger, and if you want to get kind of crazy, silver's going to be more of the higher percentage change moves. Dollar index kind of continues its little weird bullish movement today, which is bizarre considering what gold's doing, and Bitcoin. So obviously they don't care. Bitcoin's trying to get to that 35,000 before market open. 34.73. We got to 34.9 just before. GME pre-market 98.99. So it's obviously starting to come under some scrutiny and some pressure. I think there certainly will be a problem here. If you're saying that the authorities are getting into it, I wouldn't be surprised at all. What's going to happen to the Nasdaq today? So the Nasdaq's interesting one. We'll load up the Nasdaq again. So the question is, do we believe that it's just going to go to this 13.6? So we kind of thought that it may. We go to the weekly. We'll show you how we came up with this. So we had ranges. Now, I like to go, if you get one touch, 2 touches each side, you're in a range. You're in a channel. That's my rule. 1, 2 touch. Once you're in a channel, when you break through, you take the extrapolation out, and that's usually where you get to. So we're very close now to the top end range of the Nasdaq. Another thing you want to do is you want to load on pivots. In this case, we'll just use this one, the pivot point CPR, and then we can change that. Now, I generally would use this on pretty much, I wouldn't use it on the futures too much. I'd use it mostly on the real market. And you can see here what's going on in terms of the pivots for the month. So we've got through and we're busting that R2. So there's nothing too much going on there. And then what you want to do is you want to go through history and see whether it's been respecting R1, R2 pivots. So the S&P certainly does. The US 100, it's not as reliable. So I think for here, we're just looking for a completion to 13.6, 13.5, 13.6 kind of area. And then we go down into the daily and we say, okay, is there a trend line here? Has it broken through that? And I think any trend line you draw, this thing is above it right now. So it's clear that the Nasdaq is just doing its own thing. So for me, it's all about the SP. SPX, this trend line here is very important to me and overall sentiment. We know the market's all tech right now. It's all about the tech earnings, hype into them, possibly buy rumor, sell the fact. What's BlackBerry doing? Who knows, Chris? It's just going crazy. We'll load that up quickly now. BlackBerry. I never thought we would ever talk of this stock again. So it's 1974. So we're at 40% now for BlackBerry traders. Yep. That's what we're in. I think this definitely is going to start coming under some scrutiny here. A few of these stocks. A little bit of movements. We're only 9 minutes away now, so we'll certainly go over to the pre-market screener here. Again, stocks that are up. Semiconductors, technology across the world, across the scale. We looked at Amazon before. We had that pretty nice pennant that was there. I think that's a very interesting concept. I think Amazon's been sitting for some time, been a bit of a sleeper. If we actually look at the futures, not the futures, this chart here, and we go to 6-month performance, Amazon's actually lagging, as is Microsoft. I think Microsoft has problems with probably getting better earnings out, but Amazon, very interesting here. Only a 10% increase. Actually pretty crappy when you think about it. I want to repeat that. 6 months. 10%. Over the same time, Disney made 46%. Apple, 50%. Tesla, 180%. Even Warren Buffett made more. So I think Amazon's time back in the shining light could be certainly coming in. That's a very interesting stat there. Let's go to a 1-year performance. So 1 year looks obviously very different. But again, it had its glorious run. And I really think this business is doing well. I've been purchasing a decent amount off Amazon. And the only reason I didn't purchase much off Black Friday and stuff is because they were on purpose, probably not running very good sales to make more money. Philip says, BB, been in since $6. Well done, Philip. Well, hopefully you do well today. If you ever want to just have a quick look and just check out sectors that you might be interested in, always worthwhile coming in here, having a look at the sectors, seeing what things are doing well over time. And sometimes that can help you to make better decisions. So you can see there again, CRM's performance over a long time period is not that amazing. It's like 20%. You can do your PEs and everything here as well if you haven't done them. So we've got 7 minutes coming in here. We'll quickly go around again, click the futures, refresh that out. Nasdaq still the outperformer. DAX recovered a little bit. It was down more before. So it's only 1.18 down now. So interesting kind of mixed morning. Pretty much what does happen on Mondays. Cryptocurrencies across the board, mostly bullish. Not too bad there. Talked about the Schiller PE before. Obviously, this has started to make the markets. I got a couple of emails today from people being like, most overpriced market since 1929, etc. You can see here why the Schiller PE hit 30. Again, we're in a different time. This is getting high. 34.92 is pretty crazy. But a lot of it's due to tech and forward growth. So, about to count down now. 6 minutes. Reiterate, 20 exponential from the bottom ends holding the market. Trend line holding the top here. And we have the market coming in. Looks like a few people, looks like maybe a few brokers, I'm getting this coming through. A few brokers may have actually stopped your ability to... stop the ability to actually short sell GameSpot. Maybe a few people can confirm this. Think or Swim may have stopped shorting GameSpot. Is that correct? Pavel wants PFE. Pfizer. Yeah, we meant to look at that before. So Pfizer had... Isn't Pfizer getting sued? Heard the Italian government wants to sue them or something. That's pretty crazy. So this stock here, obviously we know old Buffett got into buying this one as well recently. It's been all over the place. You would think it's doing better, isn't it? You would think it would do better, but they've got obviously some issues. Tech-wise, let's have a look at TA. TA is right on support. Previous resistances, it's come down after its little hype train that it had a few weeks ago. I mean, it's right there, isn't it? It's right there. Pretty sure Buffett filed some of this in the portfolio. Nice. Not bad level. Resistances, supports, series of higher lows coming into it. So you've also got that kind of trend line support as well that's coming through. Using a bit of trend lines today. Remember, I don't use this because I like it. I'm using the horizontal predominantly. I use this just because we've got high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low. And there is people that are going to draw that. And they're going to say, okay, I'm going to buy this pressure. And it's all kind of cutting around the same point. So nice level. 3 minutes now off the open. Let's load up the screener. So we've got here, got SPX there, get rid of Pfizer, put that as Nasdaq futures, make it the 15-minute chart. Cool, so we got that one. I usually got the Dow over here, but I might change the Dow and we'll make it GameSpot. All right, we'll do that, bit of fun. Let's hit the first 5-minute market trade here. There we go. Oh, I got to get up to the pre-market. 1 second. There we go. There's the pre-market. So we'll see how that comes in. We've got Apple down here. Apple's still a very interesting point because we've got above that 140, the 142. We're only 3 minutes off the bell now. And down the bottom, we've got gold, dollar index. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. And we'll put Bitcoin here. Trading at 34.6. Go that to our 1 hour market. Cool, perfect. All right, so we're all set there. 38.47 on S&P 500 futures. Yes. So we do know that the market often kind of comes in a little bit weak in the first hour of Monday, and then often recovers by the end of the day. If we go back through history, we go back through what's happened. The first hour, remember, is usually us, the retail traders, trading. It's not always everybody else. Thanks very much, everyone that's joining us as well for this Monday. Really appreciating that. Here we go. Bit of buying into the NAS. All right, let's see how it goes. Here we go. 40 seconds. I'll be so happy when we get rid of daylight saving. No more of this 1:30 business in Australia. That's crazy. I like it when it's like 11. 11 something. All right, 20 seconds, guys. Quickly do this. 6.5s. Here we go. 53. So it's only 6. All right. Opening bell. Ding, 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 ding. All right, we're open, guys. Well, here we go. Let's see what happens. This is going to be an interesting one here on the right with GameSpot. So it holds only a 96 after the market opens. So it actually starts selling off almost immediately. I'm just having a look at the spread here. Spread on short selling this stock is $1. $1 spread. What the hell? $2. Wow, that's extortion. So obviously you need to see that settle off. $2 spread. That is bizarre. That's crypto spread over there. US dollar coming in with a little bit of strength, seeing some weakness. US dollars coming in with some weakness, seeing strength a little bit in gold here. Bitcoin kind of hovering around that 34.6. Have to see if it goes up. We'll go quickly check on here. The opens are now opening. Let's have a look here. Okay, so it's holding. A lot of these percentages are holding. Baidu 3.2%. That's nice. Apple really strong into these earnings season results coming up. That's a strong result. 3.18% on a very big stock. $4.50 up. Clearly cracking that 140 right now and holding it. Very, very nice. Salesforce also do. Did I see Salesforce there? Sweet. Where is it? Come back, Salesforce. 1.85%. Nice. Can't say I hate that. Zoom also finding some support here. I don't blame it. I think they've been overlooked recently. Where's our Amazon? Amazon was holding about % before, wasn't it? I think that's a very interesting play though on Amazon, what we're talking about before. So GameStop's all over the place. Nasdaq really probably the standout here with big moves, strong times there. A lot of people talking about AMC. Yep, AMC is another one that's got a huge amount on it. People coming in saying buy GME. Spreads tightening up for GME. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm still 80 cents. It's all over the place. I've still got 40 cent, 80 cent. That's still big spreads. 20 cent now. Okay, yeah, tightening in. Good. $3. $3 at one point. What am I running here? I'm running a trading view here. I've got Webull just set up for the screener. And I have a few CFD platforms open on my other screens. All right, guys. Well, we got to the open. We can see that it's the usual kind of fun fare for Mondays. Obviously, we went through a few stocks today. Just to reiterate, we went through, obviously, CRM. We went through Amazon. I think they both had some good ones. A few other people in the community doing really well. We went through our S&P 500 kind of market structures. We'll be continuing watching that. We know that the Nasdaq's kind of doing its own thing as well. We'll be really needing to watch that FOMC statement later on this week. This statement is probably going to be pretty important for gold, for everything else. We've got earnings week. We know it's all about these ones over here. So we have to see how they do. This creates some form of a little bit of a catalyst of risk. And I just want to quickly say again, you know, generally speaking, if you're going through big history, obviously it's the Feb, it's the March kind of months that are generally weaker. April is good, January is good, November, December is good. Don't ever ignore these kind of seasonal things that happen. They do happen time and time again. And again, the last 10 years, Feb has been pretty poor. So we'll have to see how that holds up. But yeah, I think it's been a pretty good kind of start to the day. There's the GameStop starting to come under some pressure. That's a bit of a pain. I think $100 was definitely a pretty big amount for it. I think it is going to come under some heavy selling pressure by the retail community. Wow, look at that. Let it go. 13,546. Nasdaq just total outperformer. All right, well, I'd just like to say again, thanks very much, everybody. That wraps up, of course, our Monday start. We've got the open, 1:34 a.m., a little bit much for me right now. So we'll come and join us again next Monday, 11 p.m. AEST, usually about 2.5 hours before the market opens. We start going through stuff. We'll probably get a bit more structure in it. Definitely thanks to everyone that's joined the trading community on YouTube, and thanks for the support there. Thanks for everyone, of course, for subscribing and giving us a big thumbs up as well, or thumbs down if you're not enjoying what you're seeing. Good luck for the GameStop guys. Hopefully things go well on AMC, GameStop, and BlackBerry, but I will be watching that throughout the morning. And of course, we'll have videos coming through this week as well. Yeah, man says, FOMC statement, we will use all the tools we have to pump even more. Pretty much, man. Carbon copy is the copy pasta. We will use all the tools at our disposal. That's what they say, yeah? All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.